9BF Rochester, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester, an Odyssey sports station. The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
Brandon Ayuk has asked the 49ers for a trade.
And the Texans, the first team to have all their players at training camp.
Opening night of the new season in Kansas City is just 50 days away.
An anonymous NFL executive ripped Josh Allen to shreds in terms of where he thinks he needs to improve.
Whoever GM spoke is a GM that's trying to compete against him in the AFC.
I don't know who the exec is, but I'm going to say there aren't many execs in the league who wouldn't have Josh in their top three as quarterbacks. So I don't know how much overrated you could be for whatever the reason is.
Mike Danger.
Hey, what if it was Brandon Beane who put that out there just to let a little fire under Josh Allen's butt going into this season?
Gene Battaglia.
What do you project as being some of the bigger storylines as camp opening? What will you be paying attention to come next Wednesday?
The AL's back on top with a 10th win in the last 11 All-Star games.
Red Sox center fielder Jarren Duran picked MVP in his All-Star debut.
Paul Skeens. Enough said, right?
When we're talking about the Open Championship, what are we hearing about this weekend?
95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Yeah. That's good. It's hilarious.
You were actually timing.
I was timing.
Welcome into the Sports Bar. It's Danger and Battaglia. Oh, maybe we're just amusing ourselves. Hell, we got nothing else going on today. Worst day on the sports calendar all year. Yuck. We're here.
We're
going to... I don't know how I'm here. I'm struggling.
Yeah, you got an issue if you're struggling.
No, I know.
Yeah, that's a problem.
I know. I forgot coffee today. I forgot my morning coffee today. What was Ripken's streak?
This just begs the question. You do know we have a coffee maker in the second floor. You do know. Now, nobody uses it.
That's why I didn't want to use it.
It's just a pot for you, and you can just be like, drinking it all. Yeah.
Right. No, instead, I'm like a vermin in our storage garage looking through coolers of old team building events saying there's got to be some caffeine in here somewhere. There's got to be some caffeine in here somewhere. I found some cherry Coke. Cherry Coke has caffeine, right?
Yeah. And I think the sugar boost. Oh, wait. The Mike Danger fridge that is stocked.
My secret fridge.
Yeah.
Caffeine just shows up in the ingredients, right? Or does it say caffeine-free somewhere on this thing?
It should say caffeine. He has his readers on. Yeah.
Caffeine content, 21 milligrams. Need this to get cold. It's going to go spend some time in the fridge. I'll probably be okay by the time we get to half.
21, if you're wondering. You have like one of the baby size cans, those new ones.
I got two of them.
Okay, so you got two.
Yeah, I'm not playing around with the baby size can. No, I don't. The can that looks like what a normal size beer can looked in the hand of Andre the Giant. Now we all can experience that with these little baby mini cans of soda. No.
I feel like we have to go back to the Open because we're at that time of year. Like, this is how much of a degenerate you and I are. Danger and I, just for fun, there was no money on this, betting on the length of the Dan Drummey Open. And I put the over under at 40 seconds. And you're like, oh, it's going to go over. Minute 9.
Go over. And you know, I even gave Dan a cue. Like, he asked us earlier. He texted me earlier. I'm like, Dan, keep it tight. Keep everything tight, man. Keep it tight.
What's his definition of long if that's tight?
That's lengthy.
Yeah.
The over hit. And we both cashed in. We've got a fun show lined up for you this afternoon. Yeah, sports might be light on the calendar with the All-Star break.
Well, we could talk about baseball and all the wonderful things about the game of baseball.
Yes, we will spend a little time talking about that. We'll also be joined later this afternoon by Ryan Hickey. Hick at Night. You hear him on the JR Sport Brief every weeknight here on the Fan Rochester as well. We'll just have a general NFL conversation with Hickey as we get ready. Hickey, if I'm not mistaken, Mets and Jets, I want to say.
Yes, Penn State too,
but
like big Nittany Lion fan. I think he's a grad. I think there's a lot of other storylines here that are worth monitoring. Certainly the one getting the headlines this week, Brandon Ayuk, where you and I are kind of in agreement. Like, he's not going anywhere. However, are there any ramifications for the 49ers here? Because to me, last year, the Niners, that was smooth sailing. Hey, Brock Purdy, fantastic value. Christian McCaffrey, healthy. We talk Niners. We'll certainly talk a little Dallas Cowboys. They're an interesting story as we're heading to their camp. And, and we'll talk, of course, about the Buffalo Bills and get the outsider's perspective from Ryan Hickey.
I saw something cross my feed on Brandon Ayuk, and I want to push back on it. Somebody put out there, and I can't remember, maybe it was The Ringer. I can't remember what the author's name was, so forgive me. That the Niners need Ayuk more than Ayuk needs the Niners, so the Niners need to pay this guy. I'm like, no, they don't. No. And are you getting something from the agent by putting that out there? Because Brandon Ayuk does not – the Niners will be fine if they trade Brandon Ayuk. They're not going to, but if they are – they will be fine.
Well, I'm going to project a storyline here toward the end of the year, because if Buffalo gets to where they were last year or exceeds it, what's the storyline going to be? Wow, Josh Allen did this without Steph Diggs, and certainly possible, right? And we're all anxious to see if it happened. But my point being, we saw Kansas City do it. And if we see Buffalo do it, meaning, hey, you don't need to pay the high-priced receiver, what I'm asking, Danger, is the wide receiver position going to go the way of the running back? Meaning, hey, there are so many talented wide receivers out there. Just go and get some useful guys, draft well, and be sure as to who you actually pay here.
Sure. Every team, I think, has a positional value, right? Like they place a premium on certain positions over others. This year, the Bills going into the season, not really putting a big price tag on their position players, on their skill position players. Partially because you're paying your quarterback, right? You have your franchise quarterback. That's a good problem to have. A lot of teams wish they knew what their answer was going to be at quarterback for the next 5 to 10 years. The Bills have that. But that might mean you're never in the market for a $25, $30 million a year receiver like you're seeing. And it wouldn't shock me if, not maybe to the level of the running back market, but it wouldn't shock me if you saw the wide receiver market become suppressed here over the course of time, because it is getting, look, the cap keeps going up, so guys keep making money, but there's always been the high-priced wide receiver one, but there's always been that in the back of your mind, that narrative that Super Bowl winning teams don't always need or have that high-priced wide receiver one.
They do not.
So how do you build your roster, and is it even necessary? Well, the Niners, it appears, are probably offering him far less than what he desires, and they're probably trying to do what's right by their roster, what's right, recognizing, oh, yeah, we're going to have to pay Brock Purdy at some point here, so we have to kind of keep things in check and keep things in line. I think if they did decide, if a team did say, okay, Ayuk is worth a second, or Ayuk is worth whatever San Francisco is asking for, and they pull the trigger on a trade, San Francisco is going to be fine. The Niners don't need Ayuk as badly as Ayuk needs the Niners. Somebody put that out there. I'm like, that's wrong. PJ Glasser is the host of Send It In on the BetQL Network, and we'll get some winners from PJ. We'll talk about the Open Championship. PJ and golf, hand in hand. He knows his stuff. And why isn't the WNBA just making today their day?
Well, at least they had the foresight. If you're going to watch one player, and you're going to be on tonight. Caitlin Clark is on tonight, 7 o'clock. Perfect. It's a day that's just, hey, come on in. Nothing else is happening. If you want to say there's a day that's worse on the sports calendar, point it out to me.
No, it's today.
Today. Like, it is the one day. Like, we play games on Christmas Eve. We play games on Christmas Day now. In the NFL on a Wednesday. Okay, so when we get to that point, like, this is the slowest day. I would also say, hey, Major League Baseball, you're kind of running minor league baseball. Why do you have to line up the two all? I guess they have to do this in a way, Danger, because call-ups and whatnot. But, my gosh, if you had a Red Wing game tonight, or we'd be a little more paying attention to that. So it's an opportunity for any sport that wants to make news. And quite often what will happen on a day like today, there might be a story that just kind of drops in that's choreographed, and we'll keep it, we'll be on our toes today should anything come across because, hey, the headlines, wide open today coming through.
I don't know why they just don't make today Women's Basketball Day in America and just have a wall-to-wall schedule of WNBA games, right? Like that seems like that would be something you could do to grow the game. What do they have?
They have today, one game, 7:30, Indiana at Dallas.
Oh, so one game. It features Caitlin Clark. Okay, that's fine. But one game.
One game.
That's
and then nothing tomorrow. And there's no Major League Baseball tomorrow either. Hate to break that to everybody. And then the WNBA All-Star Game Sunday night. This is a big miss. You mean you can't put the WNBA All-Star Game next week? I guess they're probably doing this because of the Olympics, and they're going to lose a lot of the talent and let everybody break for the Olympics because that's coming up the following week.
Well, maybe okay. Maybe we'll view today and tomorrow as the calm before the storm because we are going to get hit with not just Buffalo Bills training camp next week. We have the Olympics on deck. We'll have training camp from around the NFL.
We got a Major League Baseball trade deadline.
There's a lot coming.
This is a lot of people on vacation this week. This is it. Like you and I, our vacations ended. Like, hey, we're back, but for a lot of people, this is the last chance. And for everybody in the sports world here, at least in Western New York, summer's over, and we cannot wait. Wednesday, first practice out at camp. I wish they would give us a little peek behind the curtain with the rookie camp. Because they're out there right now. Yeah, like the rookies are out there, but not allowed out there.
Yeah,
so.
we won't get a peek of that, but we'll see what they look like come Wednesday, a week from today. We'll be broadcasting live from St. John Fisher University, player interviews. We'll talk to Brandon Beane, I'm sure. We'll have all of that for you. We'll share everything that's happening behind the scenes with the Buffalo Bills while they're in town for training camp at St. John Fisher University. Our coverage gets underway starting a week from today, Wednesday the 24th. Man, it's almost here. And then we're off and running. It's just constant. And a day like today where I forgot my coffee, I better not be forgetting my coffee starting a week from today.
See, it's okay to go without coffee. People that work morning radio, they don't drink coffee.
Insane.
Yeah, I get it, because if you have to rely on that, it's not a good way to kind of live. Yeah,
you have to have one when you wake up. I think you have to have a cup first thing as soon as you wake up. If you're getting up, and I'm saying this, having observed my wife do morning radio for 25 years now, you got to get some coffee pumping into the system first thing. Like. And you've gotten up early. You get into a routine where you're getting up early at 4:30, 5 o'clock, whatever it might be. Got to get the coffee in. I don't know what happened to me today, man. I'm a mess. I'm surprised I found my way into the studio.
There's no excuse. You can just make some, but you're not going to.
I know. And then my daughter's like, go on a Starbucks run. That's a financially irresponsible response to my dilemma here, okay? Because, you buy Starbucks one day, you buy Starbucks 2 days. You end up buying Starbucks every day of the week. Next thing you know, you're hooked on a Starbucks addiction that's costing you $25, $30 a week.
How is there not like a Starbucks somewhere around or within walking distance of our studios?
There was on Main Street, and I think it's shut down.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
We got the Dunkin' there by City Hall, so.
The Dunkin' over there by you've been in that one though, right? Yeah. It's there.
You're just getting your coffee.
You're just in to get your coffee. But I liked having that Starbucks on Main Street. That was fun. And you're right. There's a Dunkin' on every corner, so there really is no excuse. I could go up and make a cup or make a pot. I'm not going to do that because I don't like waste. I'll make a whole pot just for myself. I just want a cup. Can't do it.
Wow. So you're going to imbibe in cherry soda.
Yeah.
I haven't to tell you the last time I had a cherry soda.
Oh, dude. I got a sweet tooth. I love that stuff. Absolutely.
You have a sweet tooth. The guy who will just take a whole bag of those Halloween candies. What are they with the yellow, the orange, and the white?
Candy corn.
Yeah. Gross. Disgusting.
I'll eat the hell out of some candy corn, gummy worms, anything really.
You were hitting the gummy worms yesterday, I noticed.
Loved it. My daughter's got she's now got these Nerds gummy clusters. I mean, heaven. You're talking about Nerds, elite candy, around the gummy. Can you tell that it's a slow sports day? We're talking about Halloween candy on July 17th.
On July 17th.
Let's talk about the All-Star game for a second, Gino, and a little bit about what I think we all wanted to see last night, which was Paul Skeens just throwing gas.
He was fantastic last night. And I got to look up the official scoring because it was a little confusing as to was that a walk or was that a pass ball that went out of play. But he did allow Soto to get on base. Didn't matter. So just the one walk. But, otherwise getting out of there after 4 batters, facing arguably the 4 best batters in the American League in Quan, Henderson, Soto, and then retiring Aaron Judge. And it's okay, I think, to change your sports opinion because you hear different opinions, things rub off on you, and it just went off as a light bulb in my head.
Moving the goalpost, I believe is what they call it.
No, that's what people who accuse you, but I'm changing it based on, hey, what I saw last night. And
it's okay. You can move the goalpost.
I'm not moving the goalpost. I'm talking about Skeens. And here's Skeens, not once but twice this year. No-hitter in Chicago. And no-hitter last week, too. Fantastic. He's taking on the Brewers. Oh, my gosh. They're taking him out after 7 innings. Let him only 99 pitches. What are we doing? It's actually smart. It's actually smart because the Pirates right now are kind of on the fringe of being a wild card team. If you're a Pirate fan, you should be excited. And do you want to shut this guy down in September? No? Of course not. So how do you get him to that point? Well, you're going to have to manage things. And even yesterday, Danger, I was bringing up hey, if he goes bing, 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 1, 2, 3, you got him, bring him back out there for Aaron Judge. And the manager from Arizona, Lavallo, was like, no. He's going to face just the first inning, and that's it. And I'm like, come on, give the fans what they want. And then thought about it, and probably the Pirates, hey, look, have them out there just 1 inning. Big picture here, this is better for Pittsburgh. Long term, can Pittsburgh actually make this guy a centerpiece? What I can tell you is when they're throwing up graphics saying that he's the first rookie to do this since Dwight Gooden, he's this, he's that. What are we talking about? 40 years here? Like, he is that exciting. When I say once in a generation, no. It's like skip the generation. This guy is that special and I'm not exaggerating, and whatever the Pirates need to do to keep him healthy long term because all these pitchers break sooner or later.
Yeah, I'm happy that those who hadn't had the chance to see him yet this season did get a chance to see him last night and just see how effortless he makes it look. I mean, he's just consistently throwing heat. And for the people that want to complain about the pulling of Skeens and what you go get out there and get it's a individual accomplishment that's been accomplished by 300 different guys over the course of the sports history.
It's not as special as it once was.
A forest for the trees. You want this guy healthy down the stretch. You want this guy healthy for a long time and a long career. And if you're a Pirate fan, hopefully he stays in Pittsburgh. But there's not a lot to not like about Paul Skeens right now. And we said it yesterday. I think the guy is probably living his absolute best life right now. If there's an athlete living a better life right now than Paul Skeens, I'd love to know who that is.
Yeah, and it's a story of sometimes you don't find yourself maybe until your late teens, early 20s. And if you're not familiar with Paul Skeens' story, and they explained this last night, he went to LSU. Well, tell me about what happened before he went to LSU. He wanted to be a fighter pilot. He committed to the Air Force. And I know this from covering RIT hockey because they play Air Force every year. The Air Force Academy, any service academy, you are allowed as an athlete to go in 1 year. And then if it doesn't work out, if it's not for you, you can go to the portal. And therefore your military commitment doesn't kick in. But if you come back after that and you're going to go all 4 years to the Air Force, well, then you have to serve our country. So he's going down that path. He commits to the Air Force as a catcher. And then they try him out a little bit of pitcher because he did like, wait a second. Okay, let's try him again. He has this talent that keeps on coming around to the point where, oh my gosh, wait a second. Is there something really here? And now all of a sudden there's people in his ear saying, hey, you can go somewhere else and try this pitcher thing. This was, as he says, the toughest decision of his life. Do I give up this dream of being a pilot and serving my country? Or do I go if I really have this talent? And he bet on himself. He transfers to LSU, and then he becomes the best pitcher. LSU wins a national championship. He gets the gymnast girlfriend. I mean, like, could it have worked out any better for Paul Skeens for a talent that coming out of high school, Danger, he wasn't 100% sure he even had?
Yeah, pretty remarkable stuff. I'm glad you clarified that he wanted to be a fighter pilot. It explains the mustache a little bit. I was trying to figure out, okay, what's the mustache? Oh, that's it. Okay, well, he wants to be a fighter pilot. He was going to be a fighter pilot. That checks out. He's got that goose from Top Gun mustache going there, you know? He's remarkable, and the American League get over last night. It was a Jaron Duran homer that put them over the top. Ohtani goes yard as well. The All-Star break continues today, tomorrow.
Stuck with it a little bit later than I thought I would. I went through 7 last night.
Not bad.
No.
Not bad. You can reach out to us on X. That's Elon's Twitter, at the Fan Rochester. Pete, one of our regulars, tweeting us. I think Ryan Hickey has take of the year with trading Josh Allen for the Bears' #1 pick. That is a take of the year nominee. Thanks for reminding us, Pete. We'll get Ryan on with us here in just a couple few.
No, it's not. It's a bad take of the year.
Got to be.
Like, are we going to do different categories? The worst take of the year, Ryan Hickey. I know we got. I know we have. We did have one take of the year nominee yesterday.
Yeah.
Tiger Woods.
Yeah, Tiger was fantastic in just dunking on Colin Montgomery.
Well, as a past champion, I'm exempt till I'm 60. Colin's not. He's not a past champion, so he's not exempt. So he doesn't get that opportunity to make that decision. I do. So when I get to be at his age, I can still make that decision when he doesn't.
When I get to be his age. So Hickey's take is in there. We'll address that at some point here down the road. And we like, I can appreciate Ryan Hickey being bold enough to make that suggestion. It's along the lines of me saying that the Pirates should trade Paul Skeens now when his value is as high as it's ever going to be. I know they're not going to, but if you're not going to pay him long term what you know he's going to be worth, why not? Just move on. South Central Kentucky Chris checking in. Bad enough to go without coffee for a day, but you made a great call by not going to Starbucks. Starbucks isn't coffee. It's what you sweep off the floor, filtered through an unwashed gym sock using water from a swamp of stagnant water. What did Starbucks do to you, Chris?
What?
Buddy. I mean, look, it might not be my #1, but I'm not going to go that far. That's harsh. Harsh. Ryan Hickey, Hick at Night, Infinity Sports Network. You can hear him on the JR Sport Brief every night here on the Fan Rochester as well. He's going to stop by in the 4 o'clock hour. And joining us next from the BetQL Network, we'll talk to PJ Glasser, our buddy checking in from just outside D.C. That's on the way next on the Fan.
Sports Update.
Buffalo Bills rookies already at St. John Fisher. It's closed to the public, closed to the media right now. Veterans reporting next Tuesday, the first on-field practice coming up on Wednesday the 24th. Chris Brown, One Bills Live today, looking ahead to a long weekend in Pittsburgh.
The joint practice is happening in Acrisure Stadium in Pittsburgh. Previously, during the Doug Marrone years, when the Bills went to do 2 days of joint practices with the Steelers, they did it at their training camp facility at St. Vincent's College in Latrobe.
Caitlin Clark in Indiana playing tonight. It's the only game in the WNBA schedule. The Fever playing at Dallas. We'll talk some golf and more with PJ Glassier, host of Send It In on the BetQL Network. That's coming up next. Sports brought to you by GetMyPerks.com. Half off today to Lasertron in Henrietta. Gene Battaglia and the sports leader, the Fan Rochester.
Pull up a stool and join us. 585-866-4FAN. 866-432-6. The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
He is the host of Send It In. Odyssey Sports Betting Insider PJ Glasser and Insider Calls are presented by BetMGM. Go check out all the latest lines today on the BetMGM app. Not going to lie to you, PJ. Consider you a friend. We're struggling today. This calendar is kicking our ass. Not happy about it. I don't like that we don't have anything really going on, save for one WNBA game. We have some stuff to look forward to this weekend. But how are you coping with what is traditionally the worst sports day on the calendar?
Yeah, guys, a lot of Netflix, cleaning my apartment, things that, I really don't enjoy doing. I'm with you. Usually the ESPYs are today, right? Because we have – obviously, the All-Star game, there's no baseball, nothing else going on. The Open starts tomorrow. So that's why I didn't understand why they had it Sunday, at least give us something to watch outside of the WNBA. But, this is that time of the year, right? I've always said kind of once the Open Championship, once that wraps up, guys, it's kind of like just get us to the finish line. It's like that time gap that we have after the Super Bowl and leading into March Madness when we're just ready for the tournament games. We're kind of approaching that now when we're getting towards the end of July and you're like, just get us to football season already.
Yeah, before we get to football and golf, and we'll get your thoughts on the game tonight in the WNBA. First half of the baseball season, and for folks who don't know, PJ's based in Maryland. You follow the Orioles, and look, that was, I would say, the worst loss of the season for any team in the majors, what the Yankees did on Sunday afternoon against Baltimore. But that averts a sweep for the Orioles. They got swept by the Cubs. And you look at their starting pitching right now for the Orioles. Do you have any concern with the O's here? Look, they're in first place, mind you, but your thoughts as we're heading to the second half, PJ?
Guys, wasn't it fitting that the guy who misplayed that ball out and left was Alex Verdugo? So, we all enjoyed that. To answer your question, though, Gene, yeah, the O's, they do have some issues. I would probably give them like a B+ for the first half of the season. Obviously, anybody will take if your team's in first place heading into the break. That's a great thing. But coming into the season, we all thought the O's were going to have one of the best starting pitching rotations in baseball, with Corbin Burns, Kyle Bradish, Grayson Rodriguez, Dean Kramer as their number 4, who's great for them, John Means, who had been really good for them. And now, Means is out for the year and Bradish is out for the year, and they really haven't been able to place those guys. And then in the bullpen, look, Craig Kimbrell's having a great season, but guys, I don't know if the Orioles can win a World Series with Craig Kimbrell as their closer. I really don't. So the luxury that they have is that they have the number 1 farm system in baseball, and they can go out and get anybody in baseball that they want. They can put any package together that nobody else in baseball can. So that's a good position to be in, but at the end of the day, whoever they go out and get, they got to make sure that dude pays off for them in the second half of the season. So the Orioles need some work to do. As of right now, I don't think they would be my pick out of the American League, but given their farm system, they certainly can make the moves that nobody else can. And that's what makes them interesting in the futures market, is if you think that the O's are going to go for it in the second half, they could be some good value there.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the futures market here because we don't have any games to bet on tonight. So we kind of look ahead and think, all right, where can we place a wager or two to see what is there value in looking at the futures market today, PJ, and what exactly are you looking at as far as the futures market in Major League Baseball?
I mean, danger like the Phillies, guys. I don't understand why the Dodgers are still priced like they are over Philadelphia. Like, I get the Dodgers have all that top-end talent. I know Mookie's coming back and Yamamoto's coming back, and they're probably going to be a team that's going to make moves at the deadline too. But, I mean, we all watched the All-Star game last night. Like, the Phillies are just loaded. I mean, the entire starting infield outside of second base was their team. Turner, Bowman, Harper. Their outfield solid. Real Muto is going to come back as their catcher. And then they're pitching this season. They got 3 starters who have 3 of the top 10 ERAs in the National League. Their bullpen is lights out. And plus, the Phillies are the team that we trust the most of those big teams in the National League. They've proven to us that they can get to an NLCS and get to a World Series as well. So when I look at the NL side, I like the Phillies. I think they should be favored right now. So the fact that the Dodgers are favored over Philadelphia, I think that's value, creates value there. And look, I'm still believing the Houston Astros at 7-1. We just talked about the Orioles. I think they have flaws. The Yankees have plenty of flaws as well. The Astros starting pitching has been so beat up this season, but man, is their lineup good. The bullpen is very good as well. And again, guys, for me, a lot of times it's just the teams that I trust, the teams that I've seen that have done it before. And the Yankees haven't been to a World Series in 2009. The O's haven't been to a World Series in forever. The Astros have been to 7 straight American League Championship Series. So until they prove to us that they can't do it, that's probably the team that I would back in the AL.
Yeah, we're talking to PJ Glasser, your host of Send It In. PJ, I got one more baseball question for you because the toast of baseball has been Paul Skeens. He did not disappoint last night. From a betting standpoint, when I'm looking at the NL Cy Young Award winners, last I checked, he was plus 900, third, right there, which to me, I'm not sure. Just because, look, if he leads the Pirates to the postseason and gets enough innings, maybe he does win the award. But that's asking a lot. And I'm wondering if the Pirates at some point limit those innings and somebody like Sale or Wheeler, or maybe there's somebody else on your board. But how would you handicap right now the NL Cy Young?
Yeah, Gene, it's so tough. I mean, you broke it down really well. I think that the big thing is how the Pirates are going to treat his pitch count down the stretch, right? I mean, Skeens has been so good, but I think the Pirates look at their team a lot like how the Nationals view theirs. And yes, they're in the playoff hunt right now. It'd be incredible if you make it to the postseason, but you know what? Like, still plan for the future. And if you have an opportunity to sell off pieces to do that, if, you want to limit Skeens' pitch count, I think you need to do that as well. Guys, you remember a couple of years ago, the Orioles were in a similar position to where the Pirates and the Nationals were, where they had a ton of bad years of losing, and then you could start to see that their prospects were coming up and they were turning the corner. And if you remember around the trade deadline, they decided to trade away Trey Mancini, and a lot of people didn't like that. They continued to rebuild, and now look how it's paying off for them a couple years later. So what this third wild card has done is it's kind of treated some teams like fool's gold, and it's kind of lured teams into trying to make the playoffs when really they should continue to rebuild. I think the Pirates got to look big picture. I think they have to still try and sell at the deadline, and because of that, I don't think they can go all in with Skeens this season. Even if you have a chance to make the playoffs, he's your franchise guy. That pitching rotation is so good, and it will be for the future. So to me, Gene, that's what would scare me away from the bet is I just don't know if the Pirates are going to treat Skeens like some of these other teams will that are trying to go for a division title or trying to make the playoffs.
PJ, I feel like women's basketball can't get out of their own way sometimes. You don't have Caitlin Clark going to the Olympics, however controversial that you may feel that topic is. But a night tonight where you have one game, and granted it will be with Clark in Indiana, why not, if you're the WNBA, just stack the schedule over the next 2 days and make it, Women's Basketball Day in America or something like that, and just overwhelm us as bettors with options for action here over the course of the next 2 days. What are your thoughts on tonight's game with Indiana?
I completely agree. Danger. I feel like I was saying the same thing around like the 4th of July. In baseball, that should be their day, and they should treat it like the NBA treats Christmas, and you should load up all these marquee matchups, right? You should have the Phillies against the Dodgers. You should have the Yankees against the Red Sox. Like all these great rivalries, these teams that we know at the beginning of the season are probably going to be good. And the WNBA, same thing. These summer months, especially right now in the middle of July, end of July, like this should be your wheelhouse where sports fans like us, people that want to watch games, that want to bet games, have something to watch and have matchups that we're excited about. So I agree with you there. As for tonight, Caitlin Clark, I actually like her under points tonight. It's up to 20, which I think is a little bit too high. It's been around 16, 17 for most of the season, but now it's just getting to a point where I just don't think you can bet it at 20. The Wings aren't that great of a defensive team, but for me, this is just too big of a jump, and I think odds makers know too that because, again, this is the only night game in the WNBA tonight, people are going to want to bet it. They're automatically going to be drawn to Caitlin props, and because of that, they can make the total a little bit higher knowing that people won't care what it is. They just want to bet overs with Caitlin Clark. I think it's a little too high, so I'll go the other way. I like the under points for Caitlin Clark.
We have the final major of the year this year coming up. It is going to be this week, I should say, the British Open, teeing off in the overnight hours. And what a surprise, PJ. The favorite once again, Scotty Scheffler at 5-1. I would imagine there's some better value here. How do you play the British, or I should say the Open here?
The Open, guys, I think this is such a great major from a betting perspective just because, historically, like the older players, guys in their early, mid-40s, even early 50s, Tom Watson with the Duel in the Sun years ago had a chance to win another Claret Jug. So usually in these majors, right, you don't want guys that are in their 40s, but the Open you do. Usually on these U.S. Open and PGA courses that we play nowadays, you don't want shorter hitters. The Open, shorter hitters are fine because pot bunkers and the wind are the great equalizer to some of these longer hitters. So I think it's a great event because it really opens the board up compared to some of the other majors that we've seen. And what makes the course that they're playing at this week in Royal Troon so interesting, guys, is normally these courses out in Scotland that they play for the Open Championship, we're so used to these big greens, and lag putting is usually a really key metric. But the course that they're playing at this week, Royal Troon, the greens are the smallest collection of greens that we have of any of these Open courses that they play in the Open Rota. So putting more of a premium on ball striking this week as opposed to maybe some of those better putters, some of those lag putters. So guys that are great iron players, guys that can deal with some wind, that can deal with some rain, and also guys that are good scramblers, right? I'm looking more so at guys that can get up and down, guys that are good chippers this week because the greens are small. I think it's going to be more important to get up and down from the bunkers than it will be to putt from 50, 60 feet away. So this course this week is interesting because it's a little different than some of the other Open courses and maybe what you generally look for, but ball strikers and scramblers, to me, that's what I'm looking at.
Wow. You just described Tony Finau. Did you not, PJ? Is that who you like this weekend?
Come on, Danger. Let's ride, baby. Tony Finau. Absolutely love it. 45-1. Guys, I think this is one of the best value plays on the board. Tony loves the Open Championship. He's played in the Open 7 times. He's finished 30th or better 6 of those times. And Tony comes into this event playing excellent golf. He's got 3 straight top 10 finishes, 5 straight top 20 finishes. All things are pointing towards Tony this week. He's an excellent player in the wind. So, look, Tony's another one of those golfers that, again, he really can't ever close the door, especially in big events. I understand if people maybe don't want to bet him to win. 45-1 is a pretty good price, so I think I would take a shot at that. But certainly top 10, top 20 on Tony Finau this week. He's one of the golfers I like quite a bit.
One of the things you're doing on Send It In, it's not too early. We talk so much NFL, but PJ, college football, you could say this is the most anticipated season between the new playoff format, the video game, just the talent, NIL. This season's the most anticipated ever. What are you doing right now to get us all fired up here on Send It In?
Yeah, on Send It In, Gene, we're going through, like you said, previewing all the college teams. We're starting with the Big Ten, so we're having beat writers and guys from all over the country that follow these teams on the show to talk about them. We've gone through about 10 or 11 teams so far. So anybody, wherever you get your podcast, you can go to Send It In Podcast and check out all the Big Ten teams that we've talked about. We're getting ready to talk the ACC. And then we'll talk the Big 12 and SEC leading up here to the season. But like you said, Gene, I can't wait. And obviously it's important, right, for people that want to bet the college football season with the era that we're in with NIL, the transfer portal. You forget how many of these players have changed teams. So if you're definitely interested in college football and kind of want to, get updated on everything going on, make sure you check out our Send It In podcast. We're doing our college football previews.
And Gino just touched on it. Are you a college football 25 guy, PJ, or no?
So I don't have the new video game system, guys, the PS5. If I did, I absolutely would be. But unfortunately, I don't know if I can invest all that money in a new system. Even though I want to play the game,
you want to have
how
a life.
They lure you in, right? I do want to have a life. Exactly, Danger. I do. Exactly.
All right, well, PJ, it's great having you on with us, man. Good to hear your voice. And let's catch up here again soon. Thank you for the winners. We'll look forward to it.
Absolutely, fellas. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.
There is the host of Send It In, Odyssey Sports Betting Insider, PJ Glasser. Insider calls presented by BetMGM. Go check out all the latest lines today on the BetMGM app. Love having PJ on with us, and I'm kind of like him. I want the game, and it's out. I can get it right now. There's a deluxe edition that costs $100. I'm like, I think the actual release is Friday, and it'll come out, I think, a little bit cheaper. I don't know what I'm saying no to, what they're throwing into the deluxe edition that makes it worth that much more. But I'm telling you right now, I'm going to be, if you think I'm bad without coffee, sleep deprived after playing Dynasty mode and College Football 25 all night. Yeah, I could be dragging ass a little bit at training camp. I'm not going to lie.
No. We were not going to be Kyler Murray, okay? No.
I'm glad you brought that up because next in the sports bar, there is an NFL quarterback who is showing some weaknesses, a lack of focus.
Are we talking about Kyler?
No. We're talking about another franchise quarterback in the NFL, and I'll explain why this is very good news for the AFC.
Sometimes I like when athletes are relaxed and you put a microphone in front of their face, because there's a story right now in sports, and this kind of was brought back to the forefront last night, where players were asked about their opinion about the story, and I think you and I, Danger, we just root for chaos sometimes.
Yeah.
Here in the sports bar, if we see something and we're forecasting this big storm in the sport of baseball, and we'll explain here because it is some of these quotes from the players last night we'll review.
All right, we'll get to that and more next. Don't forget Ryan Hickey, the Infinity Sports Network, going to be stopping by the sports bar here in about a half an hour, 45 minutes or so. Right around 4:25. You can join us at 866-4FAN, 585-866-4326.
You're listening to the Sports talk anywhere. The sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan. Rochester.
Mentioned it going into the break. We may have a new Kyler Murray situation in the NFL, meaning a player who can't put down the controller, has to have his thumb on the joystick, addicted to the video game. All dynasties have to come to an end, Gino. And with that, let me share the story of quarterback Patrick Mahomes. Have you heard of him? Plays for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay.
He's going to be reporting to his 8th training camp with the team. What makes this training camp different is that for the first time ever, Mahomes is bringing a TV with him. And the two reasons he cites: 1, the Olympics; 2, college football 25. Gino, this is the best news any AFC team not named the Chiefs could hear. I'm envisioning Mahomes getting down to some primetime track and field with a bag of dill pickle kettle cooked chips and a bottle of Mountain Dew like the rest of us, all leading up to some late night dynasty mode and sleep deprivation. Like, I've already telegraphed my move. I said it before we went to break. I'm aware of the disaster my life is going to become once I start playing. I'm not trying to three-peat over here. Mahomes is going to look like White Goodman, Ben Stiller's character at the end of Dodgeball by the time week 1 hits. I can't wait.
You sure this is just Mahomes thing, or maybe there'll be other teams? Like any team that actually goes away, and I would bring this back to Buffalo, is... the team bonding. Like, what are they? Are they all playing ping pong?
No.
If they're not going out, what are they doing?
They're playing college football. I'm isolating Patrick Mahomes, but I have a feeling that just like when Call of Duty first became a thing and Kyler Murray got hooked on it, right? Like, everybody was playing it. It wasn't just Kyler Murray.
Look, I got to tell you, you know who's good at Call of Duty, and we learned this. It's actually Josh Allen.
Sure.
Because Steph Diggs, to try to bond, they started playing Call of Duty together, and Diggs didn't know what he was doing. Be like me going on there, and so Allen was helping him out. Talk about a way to bond there.
Maybe it's a way to bond, or maybe it's a way to lose focus. Maybe it's a way to go into the season a little bit less prepared than you want to be. Look, I think that the game is going to be so wide-reaching and kind of sink its claws into so many people. But it's fun to hear that Patrick Mahomes is going to training camp and preparing to watch the Olympics and play college football at night.
Either that or it'll be there and gone. It's like it's the story right now, and good on EA Sports or whoever's putting this out, because it's the slowest time of the year, and for a game that hasn't been around in over a decade, they're getting so much run out of this, and ultimately, this is a video game.
It'll be the highest-selling sports video game of all time. That's my prediction.
Okay, I don't doubt it, just because of the anticipation, the buildup.
Yeah, well, yeah, the absence and everything that goes in. It's going to be insane. But Mahomes, maybe a little bit of that Kyler Murray bug at training camp.
Listen, get something in Kyler Murray's hands leading up to Buffalo.
Yeah.
Right? That's what you really need to do. Bills Mafia, get on that right now. Danger, if there's one sport that is knee-deep in tradition, you could say college football, but that's not at the top of the list. It's baseball. Baseball, the one
constant.
If there's one constant in this world, it's baseball. It reminds us all that was good and all that can be good, as I channel their baseball writer. Not traditional is the fact that in the past few years, the All-Star Game has featured these generic uniforms. And oh my gosh, didn't I know? Like, I log on to X last night right as the game. Everybody from Bob Wischusen, when did they start doing this? To I hate doing this, or baseball doesn't listen to me, and just the outrage about how the teams aren't wearing the uniform. And look, like, if you're an Oriole fan, Corbin Burns is on the mound. The Orioles have been bad, but now here they are, fun young team. Don't you want to see the Oriole colors in the All-Star Game? The Pirates, for that matter. Okay, don't you want to see the black and yellow? Notice I said black and yellow, not black and gold.
Correct.
Well, someone actually asked Commissioner Rob Manfred about it. His quote actually might surprise you. Quote, I'm aware of the sentiment being that they should go back to teams wearing their own uniforms. I'm aware of the sentiment, and I do know why people kind of like the tradition. There will be conversations about that.
Mm.
Conversations? No conversations. Change it back. Any business that has to listen to their customers. I mean, you want to listen to your customers. Like, this is a no-brainer.
It feels like it'd be a no-brainer because it's what everybody wants, but they're making money off of it.
Well, I would point out this. Are they really making money? Fanatics, okay? And I heard the CEO on Rome today, pimping whatever show he's got there, Ruben. You got blood on your hands from this year. Like the uniforms, like the tight looking, the ripping, the colors not matching.
Yeah, nobody's really talking about that anymore. That felt like a spring training conversation piece.
Yeah, we're kind of onto it. But like if you watch the games, it's like, that doesn't look right. So, and I'm sure uniform sale, your replica jerseys and whatever, you have to figure that they're down. And you want to get back in good with your fan base, this would be a way to start. Look, you flip it. It used to be Home Run Derby, you would wear these specialty jerseys. I remember, it looks so odd now, like Giancarlo Stanton in Padre colors. Like, because he was playing for Florida at the time, or Miami, and he won the Home Run Derby, and it was in San Diego that year. And that's how they made the uniforms look that year. That would be the time to do it. So we're always looking out for hot uniform talk. The idea that maybe baseball actually goes back to teams wearing their own uniforms.
I'm not going to hold my breath. I agree with you. I would like them to. It makes a lot of sense, but I'm not going to hold my breath. And I think what he's saying here is kind of lip service. I don't think he's really going to have that conversation or address this glaring want of a fan base.
Well, I think the one thing, we knew this to be true, but in the Hard Knocks, like when you see the PR guy prepping Joe Shane, prepping the head coach, okay, here are some questions that are going to come your way, and going over this. Like whoever the Major League Baseball PR guy is, hey, just in case this comes down, a question about the uniforms, here's something to say.
Yeah. I think if they're making money, if kids are buying the jerseys, if players are signing the jerseys and they're being auctioned off for a good cause or auctioned off for people to just buy All-Star. Like if you had the Paul Skeens autographed All-Star jersey from last night, that would be a pretty nice piece to have, right? If you're a collector. Again, like I just think of the money that exchanges hands when you talk about a jersey being more than just the thing we see them wearing on TV. It becomes a piece of memorabilia, a piece of history, and it certainly has a dollar sign.
So then you know what? What do we do? You just put a patch on it. Put a patch on the sleeve. That's what they do for the World Series. Put a patch on the hat. Make a specialty hat. Okay? Be done with it.
That wasn't the only thing that they were talking about last night at the All-Star game.
Yeah, I mean, we could go to break, or do you want to do this now? Here?
Let's keep going.
Okay, keep going there. Yeah. It's where are we?
We got time. We're good.
Yeah. Look, I think in the sports bar, Danger, we are good at forecasting chaos, right? And one of those stories. We've been saying this all along. On so many levels. A's to Vegas. This move is going to fail, okay? Vegas doesn't want the team. The stadium plan for financing, it's incomplete, to say the least. The stadium plan itself, too big for the land that they have. That's not going to work out. Oh, and then what happens in the interim here, too? Oh, you're going to play in Sacramento, where the daytime temperatures in July go over 100. You do have to play day baseball. As much as Manfred says you don't, no, you have to play on a Sunday, okay? Because you do have to travel the next day. Some players were asked about it at the All-Star game. This is my favorite quote of him. Paul Sewald is a reliever with the Diamondbacks. Quote, I think it's a terrible idea. The whole thing, I fear, is going to be an abject disaster. How about Bryce Harper? He's from Vegas, after all, right? You would think he'd be in favor of this. No. Everybody, quote, is locked in on the Golden Knights, explaining what the temperature is there in Vegas in the sports landscape. It's a tough thing to see the A's go from Oakland. They have so much tradition and history there. I see it in Oakland. I don't see it in Vegas.
Same. Get this guy out of here. What are we doing?
Can't they, plant an improper quote or a scandal on this guy and make him sell? Wouldn't that be the way to do it? If you have a bad owner.
MLB needs to align with Rock Nation. You need Rock Nation. You need some kind of synergy or partnership there. Then you get Rock Nation's people booking things and diving into NFL emails and that was the smoking gun for the Snyder.
There's got to be some dirt on this guy, John Fisher. How how Manfred and the rest of the owners, for that matter, are just going to the wall for this guy. And they're going to hand him over the Vegas market. And in the stadium in Sacramento, Danger, it's nothing more. I say innovative feel is nice, but it's not major league.
No, right.
And our weather's much nicer than in Sacramento this time.
Playing in 100-degree Sacramento heat all summer is not that's not enjoyable. Nobody's going to enjoy that. I have the best news of the day. I'm going to share it when we come back from the break. This is something that we were discussing yesterday with Mike Catalana, and it turns out we got a little bit of confirmation here from a Buffalo News beat reporter. From
this
Buffalo
is Bills related. Okay.
Yes, this is Bills related. And we get back on the Bills next here in the Sports Bar, as we are officially 1 week away from Bills camp at St. John Fisher. In fact, this time next week, we will be live from the campus of St. John Fisher University for Bills Camp Live. Looking forward to that. And your calls at 866-4FAN, 585-866-4326.
AM, WBEE HD2, and W239BF Rochester. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. The Fan, Rochester. Sports update.
Bills rookies at St. John Fisher University. The veterans reporting next Tuesday, and the first on-field practice will be coming up on Wednesday, the 24th. Rochester Red Wings are off until Friday. No Major League Baseball tonight. Play also in the majors resuming on Friday. Jarren Duran of the Red Sox, the unexpected hero of the All-Star game.
Yeah, I mean, All-Star game, first home run, All-Star game, MVP, like, it is a first, and I'm just very thankful. I mean, it's hard to put into words, I feel like it won't hit me until I try and go to sleep tonight, but who knows if I'll be able to sleep tonight.
One game in the WNBA tonight. Caitlin Clark in Indiana playing at Dallas. It's a 7:30 tip. Sports brought to you by GetMyPerks.com. Half off today to Lasertron in Henrietta. Gene Battaglia in the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
Brandon Ayuk has asked the 49ers for a trade.
And the Texans, the first team to have all their players at training camp.
Opening night of the new season in Kansas City is just 50 days away.
An anonymous NFL executive ripped Josh Allen to shreds in terms of where he thinks he needs to improve.
Whoever GM spoke is a GM that's trying to compete against him in the AFC.
I don't know who the exec is, but I'm going to say there aren't many execs in the league who wouldn't have Josh in their top three as quarterbacks. So I don't know how much overrated you could be for whatever the reason is.
Mike Danger.
Hey, what if it was Brandon Beane who put that out there just to let a little fire under Josh Allen's butt going into this season?
Gene Battaglia.
What do you project as being some of the bigger storylines as camp opening? What will you be paying attention to come next Wednesday?
The AL's back on top with a 10th win in the last 11 All-Star games.
Red Sox center fielder Jarren Duran picked MVP in his All-Star debut.
Paul Skeens. Enough said, right?
When we're talking about the Open Championship, what are we hearing about this weekend?
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Yesterday we had 13WM sports director Mike Catalana stop by. We'll get a little preview of Bills camp, which gets underway a week from today. We'll be live at St. John Fisher University. One of the things we were wondering was, when talking about Josh Allen, did Josh and the guys get together at any point this offseason to go through some extra work outside of, OTAs and minicamp and all that stuff? And the best news of today is actually confirmation from Dalton Kincaid that the Bills quarterbacks, receivers, running backs, and tight ends did have some throwing sessions in Nashville last week ahead of reporting to camp a week from today. And even if the throwing session was throwing back shots at Dawson Knox's wedding, it's a proactive thing. It speaks to the team that should come out into the season here a little bit more crisp. I loved hearing that news today.
Well, I have questions here. I want more to the story. Like, okay, this is great, okay, and then you would assume a lot of the guys were going to the wedding, and certainly it's personal. We don't need to know about Dawson Knox and who was at the wedding and who wasn't. But this took place around. Was Dawson Knox participating? Like, we've all been, we shouldn't say, but you and I have gone through this, like the Friday before, the day before you get married, rehearsal dinner, everything else. Yeah. Like, hey, hon, I gotta go throw with Josh here.
Well, if you're going during the day, rehearsal dinner at night, your schedules. I try not to compare our lives to the lives of these professional athletes because they live just such an alien lifestyle.
That's why I'm wondering, what is that like?
I imagine if you're Dawson Knox, even if it's your wedding weekend and the boys are getting together to go through some reps, you're probably going. I think you're probably going. Even if Mrs. Dawson Knox doesn't appreciate it,
yeah,
I think you probably have to be like, hey, it's not really about us going out. We got to work. Like this, we win, everybody's happy. How about that? How about we win, everybody's happy. Everybody makes more money, everybody's happy. What do you think? I know that Catalana said that there was who was it, KJ Hamler, that maybe took a little bit of video of it.
Right.
We didn't really get a sense of what it was or what it looked like, but hearing Kincaid confirm that they did get together for some throwing sessions while they were all together,
That's good news. I like hearing that.
The other question is, I mean, are the Bills that anonymous? Like you're walking by a high school field, like, oh, hey, what's this going? Wait a second, these guys are kind of big. Is this like you would think, even in a city like Nashville, where look, it's right behind L.A., Vegas, Miami, right in that
it's
conversation.
The Hollywood of the East.
Yeah, but even in Nashville, you would think, wait a second, what's going on here? And everybody's got a cell phone. Like they did this under the radar?
I don't know a ton about Nashville other than my one time there, the locals telling me that their infrastructure is limited because of how the highway system was built. Like basically the downtown is now spilled out to their highway system and to the point where they can't really expand their highways and they can't really expand much more than they already have. They've grown about as much as they can as far as their downtown goes. But I also remember thinking there's a lot of space around here. There's a lot of once you get outside of the downtown area, it feels very palatial, very spread out. There are probably a lot of places that are outside of Nashville that maybe still are considered Nashville, where maybe you can fly under the radar a little bit easier if you're the Buffalo Bills. I don't know. I was just excited to hear that they did that. That I like hearing that. That's an extra little step that not every quarterback does, not every team does. I mean, nobody. You certainly aren't contractually obligated to do that. It's an extra step. It's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, it shows that, hey, are they doing something like this if Diggs is still on the team?
Did they do it last year with Diggs still on the team?
I'm not aware.
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't know. If this year is addition by subtraction, that will be a fascinating. It's not uncommon. It happens. It happened to Kansas City the year they won the Super Bowl after they traded Tyreek Hill. Sometimes it's addition, but sometimes less is more.
I don't know if it's a less is more or this just recalibrates the quarterback's kind of progressions. Like the fact that Diggs got 21% of the targets in his time in Buffalo. I'd like to go do the math here. Like in the last 4 years, how many receivers had a bigger target share than Steph Diggs in the league? I don't know the answer to that. I just know what was in Buffalo. And that's a big number to redistribute. Like this is as much for Josh Allen as it is for these receivers, Danger.
Agreed. And if he's taken that leadership role and is becoming the alpha that we all kind of hope he is, with Steph Diggs out there, these guys taking command. Nice that they're getting together for a little sesh before they get to training camp next week.
Well, we've got the Summer League on and lots of empty seats there in Vegas where Miami is ahead 49-45. And another read on it's the Knicks leading Sacramento 52-40.
Oh, that's great. It's fantastic. It's just not a great quality of basketball that we're watching here.
No, like what would be like the biggest, summer like it's Bronny, right? Like that's kind of what we're.
Man, his stats have been brutal.
His stats suggest he's not making the team there.
Right. Yes. And I don't know. Should any of us really be surprised by that? I think a lot of people wondered why he was even in it. We all know why he's in the draft, but there was only one team ever that was going to take the chance and draft him in the second round. It's not been a very good summer league season for Bronny James. And that's the action that we have today. It's a slow sports day on the calendar. You could argue it is the worst sports day on the calendar.
Yeah. Our buddy Steve in Rochester checking in. Hey, Steve, you can give us a call, 866-4FAN. Steve, what's going on, bud?
Hey, guys. Josh Allen's social media last week showed pictures and video of them working out at that field in Nashville.
Oh, okay, great.
So, I mean, it was public knowledge.
Okay, thanks. We were just getting confirmation from Dalton Kincaid, and the Buffalo News reporting it earlier, confirming it. You know what? I don't know. I don't follow Josh Allen on social media. I know that might surprise some people. But I also think that, when you follow some of these guys are going to put out there what they want to put out there. So it was it was Josh Allen out there throwing to his guys. Are you looking it up right now,
Well,
Jimmy?
you see, like you and I are big X guys, but I realize that like it's a generation thing between X and Insta. So I do not follow Josh Allen on Insta.
No, I don't follow him on any of my
this
platforms.
is like, this is he did not put it on X. Josh Allen QB.
We have some reels of Josh Allen throwing to the boys. I would imagine more people would be talking about that. More people that cover the Bills would be reporting that. Thanks for the heads up, Steve.
Yeah, Steve, like, if you can call back, because honestly, I don't see, it's not on X or Insta, so.
Maybe it was in his,
maybe it was
a
his
story.
Yeah,
if it was a story.
Maybe it was a story, and then, or maybe it was on some other platform that I'm not aware of.
OnlyFans? I mean, a lot of people like Josh Allen. No. Regardless, thanks, Steve. Appreciate that. No, I think it's great news. And, man, Wednesday can't get here soon enough. It's going to be a lot of fun hanging out at St. John Fisher, watching the guys get ready for a season.
Yeah, the team putting out the notice today that if you want tickets to the blue and the red scrimmage, I always forget this danger, the red and the blue, whatever the color combination. It's going to be Friday, August 2nd. So that would be kind of a fun Friday afternoon. And to me, that's much as about tailgating, right? Like you go in, it's like your warm up here for the season. You're going out there on a Friday.
Start working on your routine.
Yeah.
Getting your reps in. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. And then, of course, the preseason kicks off there August 10th.
See, this is the question. If we are lucky enough to talk to Josh Allen, we had him last year, I would ask him this question right off the top. Now, Josh, got to know, what is the plan this year? And may I make a suggestion? Because if the plan 2 years ago was the red helmet, and then last year the plan was the blue helmet. What about Zubaz? Can we get a Zubaz helmet for you to come in? How do you top those two for it? Because the last 2 years, that was a story. Oh, my gosh, Josh is wearing a red helmet. Ah! People losing their mind.
Chrome helmet.
Zubaz
Zubaz helmet.
Yeah, Zubaz, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the blue was kind of like a blue chrome. Yeah. Maybe he comes out wearing we go crazy over the guy wearing a visor, for crying out loud. Oh, he's got a visor on his helmet today. Oh. Maybe Steve didn't tell us, but maybe it did post on OnlyFans. I don't know. Oh, he's got a visor on. Ryan Hickey is the host of Hick at Night, weekends on the Infinity Sports Network.
Listen, he's nicknamed Hot Take. Very hot takey to say. The Bills should trade Josh Allen for Caleb Williams and 2 first-rounders. Who says no?
Trading Josh Allen for the number 1 overall pick here does a few things. Number one, it allows you the opportunity here in trading him to the Bears specifically and getting the number 1 overall pick. It allows you to get a quarterback that could be as good or even better than Allen is right now. I mean, you look at the scouting reports for Caleb Williams, I'm all in on the hype. I think he is going to, honestly give Mahomes a run for his money in 5 years for being the best quarterback in the NFL. You reset your timeline, by the way, because right now you are in a Super Bowl or bust mode. Even though you're not a Super Bowl caliber team, it is still right now in Buffalo, Josh Allen, Super Bowl or bust. Well, now you get a rookie quarterback in, your timeline resets. Now, all of a sudden, you're afforded maybe a year or two to reset your cap and now start to make improvements to your roster that you really can't afford to do right now because every year you're going for it. You move off of Josh Allen's massive contract and now start to dig your way out of the cap hell you're in.
That was before the Diggs trade.
Right. Interesting.
Oh, man, it made so many people mad.
Furious.
Just
furious.
So
I
mad.
remember then saying, hey, Ryan will join us on the show tomorrow. And people both in the business, in fact, what are you doing putting that guy on your show? Why would you do that? He's just seeking attention.
It's good.
Now, but if you listen to that, it's, to me, the take isn't about really the court. It's about timelines. It's about timelines. And if you're a Chicago Bears fan, maybe this work out, maybe it doesn't, but you've got the timeline. Some people call it the window. Right. Now, that's maybe one question we could ask Ryan. Like, hey, the cap next year for the Bills is pretty clean now by getting rid of Diggs. Do you want to alter that?
Ryan Hickey. You'll hear him tonight on the JR Sport Brief right after the Sports Bar. Joining us next, Hot Take Hickey, and your calls at 866-4FAN, 866-4326.
Odyssey app. The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
If you're driving by St. John Fisher University, it does look like training camp with the tents up. Rookies are there. The veterans reporting next Tuesday, the first on-field practice for everyone coming up Wednesday, the 24th. Chris Brown today on One Bills Live, looking ahead to the long weekend in Pittsburgh.
The joint practice is happening in Acrisure Stadium in Pittsburgh. Previously, during the Doug Marrone years, when the Bills went to do 2 days of joint practices with the Steelers, they did it at their training camp facility at St. Vincent's College in Latrobe.
We'll talk some football coming up next. Ryan Hickey from the Infinity Sports Network joining us here in the Sports Bar. One game in the WNBA tonight. Caitlin Clark in Indiana playing at Dallas. Sports brought to you by GetMyPerks.com. Get half off to Lasertron in Henrietta. Gene Battaglia in the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester.
Straight up with no chaser. You're in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
You can hear our next guest weekends on the Infinity Sports Net, weeknights with JR Sport Brief here on the Fan Rochester. Hot Take Hickey, Ryan Hickey stopping by. Appreciate you doing it, Ryan. And now with the benefit of hindsight, you look back. Would you still make the deal for Josh Allen to the Chicago Bears for the number 1 overall pick? We've got a couple of months since you unleashed that scorcher on the earth.
Of course. Fellas, number one, thank you for having me. What has changed between that was March?
That was okay. They traded Diggs. Diggs.
Ryan,
exactly.
I love how mad this makes everybody. It's why I love having you on with us. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I think the Diggs trade, if anything, only strengthens the argument. You reset the timeline. You make it easier for you now going forward to try to create a real contender. I mean, do you guys think the Bills right now are in the same class go in 2024 as the Chiefs and the Bengals?
Okay, so here's where I come down on this, Ryan. It's all about getting into the party, okay? And when I look at who else is in the AFC, there's not a team right now. Like, you could say the Jets, and certainly the Jets probably match up the best, but by putting my chips in on a 40-year-old quarterback, I think at the end of this, I still think the Bills with a 10-7 record win the division, then you're invited to the party. I look at it from a positive standpoint that, all right, Josh Allen might actually have to learn to quarterback a little bit differently without Steph Diggs on the team.
He might, but also isn't I would say part of the problem, or most of the problem really, for the Bills when it comes to breaking through in the playoffs, for the most part, especially in the last few years, it's not been Josh Allen. It's been everything around him. It's been the blocking. It's been the run game. It's been the defense. So it's not like Josh Allen has been, I don't want to say, it's not like he's holding the Bills back in the playoffs and, we need him to play better. Everything else is in place. And if he could just figure it out this year, all of a sudden, we can go to the Super Bowl. It's getting those other 51 guys.
So let's trade Josh Allen. Trade him away. Trade him away if he's not the problem.
Exactly right.
No!
Get Caleb Williams, get a few first-round picks, reset the timeline, and all of a sudden, basically try to rebuild your team.
Hickey, remind me, are you an Indy guy or are you a Jets guy?
No, I am a Colts fan.
You're a Colts guy. Okay.
No, not a Jets fan.
I was going to go to the Jets next because I'm trying to think to myself here, if there is a threat to the Bills in the East. I mean, the Bills have won it 4 straight years with Josh Allen, and Miami has come on a little bit. The Jets defense seems to give the Bills a little bit of trouble. I mean, is there a team in the East that you see is like, oh yeah, they're head and shoulders better than the Bills? On paper, I would listen to the argument that the Jets maybe have more talent than the Bills, but I can't, like Gene was saying, I can't get behind a 40-year-old quarterback who's coming off a severe injury, a dismantled and rebuilt offensive line anchored by an old left tackle.
Oh, and I also like the coaching mismatch too. I mean, like you're really thinking that Robert Saleh is this coach that's going to lead the Jets to great things.
With Nathaniel Hackett calling plays, or at least, cosplaying as calling plays. No, I'm with you in the sense of the Bills are, I think, they are the best team in the AFC East this year. I would say the biggest threat, I know you guys have owned them for the most part. I would say the Dolphins would be the team for me, at least, that would give me the most concern. I'm with you on the Jets. I am out on the Jets completely. I'm out on Aaron Rodgers. I don't buy it. I just don't. At 40 years old, off of an Achilles injury. Also, in 2022, you can look, some people try to blame the thumb.
down the stretch in his last year as a Packer, he was not very good. He basically played the Packers out of the playoffs. So, like, we have not seen a high-level Aaron Rodgers in really 3 years. I'm not buying now all of a sudden a 40 years old off of a major injury, with still questions on their offensive line as well. Like you said, there's an old left tackle there who's, had trouble staying healthy. Can this offensive line gel? I don't buy the coaching staff offensively, at least, and as a head coach, it does not make me feel confident that they can get the most out of this group. The Jets, to me, are all noise again. I don't buy them whatsoever. I would be not concerned, but I would say the Dolphins, if you're telling me, hey, look, late in the year, there's one team pushing us for the division, my money would be on the Dolphins.
Yeah, we're talking to Ryan Hickey, Infinity Sports Network. I'm going to put a question right in your wheelhouse because a lot of people on the Texans bandwagon. And look, there's a lot to like, right? Second-year quarterback, young receivers. You add Steph Diggs to the mix, winnable division. Ryan, you're a Colt fan. We go back to Week 18. The Colts have a chance to win that game. The Colts, if they win that game, they're the division champs. Houston doesn't win a playoff game. It was that close. So my question is, like, how did the Colts even get in that position last year without their quarterback? Are the Colts a team, I guess part one, that everybody's sleeping on? And for that reason, the Texans, they got in by the narrowest of margins last year. I mean, are we overvaluing them?
I'll start with the Colts, like you said first. When you say sleeping on, like, is it like sleeping on to make the playoffs?
Well, we don't talk about them at all, period. Like Richardson to me seems like, hey, he was a guy we were all interested in, and then he got hurt, and then we're kind of moving on. And now we're just saying, okay, this is Houston's division. Maybe Jacksonville gives them a little bit of a run here. And what do we know about Tennessee? I don't hear a lot of talk about the Colts.
You are right. And I think part of it, most of it maybe, is to steal a line from Joe Burrow, like when you basically aren't out there, people forget about you. I think that's honestly the case. Like you said, he got hurt in week 5, and it's been the Gardner Minshew show for basically 75% of the season. I mean, he finished one game last year. So it's easy, I think, to forget about Anthony Richardson. The Texans, like, are the favorites to win the division, I think rightfully so. I don't think the Colts and the Jaguars, in that case as well, I think, to me, all three teams are very, very close to each other. I do think the Colts can be a playoff team, and I think they can win the division for sure. Like you said, the Texans don't scare me. Like, I respect them, if that makes sense, but I'm not bowing down head and shoulders. One thing I'm interested in seeing from Houston's perspective is now that the tape's out on C.J. Stroud, right now that defense coordinators have had an entire offseason to know what he does well, also know what he struggles with, how does now Stroud perform when he's not really catching anyone by surprise anymore like he was in year number 1? I'm interested to see kind of now the new wrinkles defense to throw his way, how he responds. And I'm curious both of your opinions here, because obviously you got a front row seat to Stephon Diggs, the good early on and the bad really the last year and a half or so. I'm not sold that he's going to be a good soldier and really make this offense better. We saw him complaining in Buffalo about targets when he was the number 1 receiver by far in that offense. I mean, last year the Texans showed you they have 2 really capable and really talented receivers, Nico Collins and Tank Dell, along with other weapons as well that C.J. Stroud passed the ball to. I mean, do you think he's going to be a malcontent in that locker room if he, in certain games and maybe in a 3 or 4 game stretch, is like the 3rd or 4th option on most plays? I don't see him being a good soldier. And so then I do have questions about how he's going to gel now in a offensive locker room where he is not going to be the focal point, where he's not going to be the main guy in most situations, in most games, in most play calls. And I don't buy that he can handle that well.
Well, I would say that the fact that he ripped up the contract and he's entering the last year would tend to point in the direction like, hey, he wants to get paid, that this is going to be it. And also, Ryan, I think it's kind of the narrative from the, no offense, but that's kind of like what the national media was saying. But when I tell you here, I don't think Steph Diggs I don't paint him as a malcontent.
The Bills did a good job of masking any of that. If that was happening, we certainly didn't see it or really know about it, other than the sideline outburst against the Bengals at the end of the season. When he was front facing, you got good Steph. You got engaging Steph. You got, wow, he's a good leader and a good teammate, Stephon Diggs. What happened behind closed doors, we may never know. And it may have been a lot of, you got to get me the ball more, and a lot of pressure on Josh Allen to do that. He got a lot of touches in Buffalo. He got a lot of opportunities in Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
I think he made the most of those opportunities. But yeah, at some point in Houston, he probably it'll be interesting to see if Houston is as good at masking it as the Bills were, because the Bills really didn't make that any sort of a distraction while he was here.
Even like the second half of the year, though, right? Like you were right. Okay, maybe he wasn't, maybe I'm painting maybe an unfair brush at times, or maybe I'm using 2 or 3 blow-ups to generalize more than what was actually reality. But, I mean, the second half of the year, right, he was basically, he disappeared. He was not as effective. He was dropping balls. Like, do you expect a different Diggs in Houston, or are you expecting kind of that second half Diggs we saw in 2023 to kind of carry over?
I think you're going to get the best of Diggs, because when he came to Buffalo, we heard about the same things from Minnesota. We read the quotes. We knew that the Vikings wanted to install this run first thing. I think that it's going to be a tough pill for Bills fans to swallow. I think that Diggs will go to Houston. He will put up numbers. He will help your fantasy team, and it will help that team win games. And in the short term, that's going to be great for Houston, but are they going to pay him in the end, or is Diggs just going to use this as an opportunity maybe at some point to get to Dallas to play for his brother? I don't know where he plays beyond this year, but I don't think this is going to go south in Houston. Honestly, I don't. We're talking to Ryan Hickey from the Infinity Sports Network. I brought up Dallas. Like, they're fascinating, Ryan. Like, you never get not 1, 2, but 3 players, like the 3 best players on any given team, all asking for a new deal at the same time. How does this play out in Dallas?
That's fascinating. I think the way this is trending, I think Dak is gone. And honestly, I think if you're Dak Prescott, I think you welcome a change at this point. Just like the Cowboys they're in their own league when it comes to like the distractions that their owner specifically puts on the team. Like the guy's at press conference after every game, and Jerry Jones talks to the media so much, and he really sometimes, sure, he hypes up Dak, but I think also at times he puts unnecessary pressure on Dak and puts unrealistic expectations on him to where, maybe he's selling the fans one thing and you see on the field another. We saw how those contract negotiations went the first time a few years ago. Basically, it seemed like Jerry tried to, really drag his feet as much as he possibly could before finally overpaying Dak because he waited so long. And now when you look at this situation as we're closing in on training camp starting in basically 6 weeks or so from the season starting, like Dak is a free agent after this year, and you can't franchise tag him. I think if he starts week 1 unsigned, I don't see the Cowboys after 2024 going to the table and giving Dak $60 million. So that's what it's going to cost. Dak is going to probably, unless Jordan Love beats him there, but I don't think that's going to be the case. He's going to be either before week 1 or after the season, the first $60 million quarterback. And from what we've seen, what we've heard from Dallas, they say one thing of, we love Dak, we want to keep him here. Their actions say something different. I think this is truly the year where a no deal happens. Dak plays out this year, which we've seen him do in the past. He is comfortable betting on himself. And I think when it comes to, their future, Dak walks, CD will get paid, Micah will get paid. But I think it's going to be kind of quarterback controversy now in Dallas in 2025.
Ryan, I know there's a lot of football to be played between now and the Super Bowl, but it feels like we've reached if not them, who part of the Chiefs dynasty, because I'm struggling to look around the NFL and see a team that can knock them off their perch. Is it inevitability that Kansas City will three-peat here? I mean, do you see teams that have stocked up in talent this offseason that could maybe challenge Kansas City down the stretch?
I mean, the only team, at least in the AFC, that I can realistically say is the Bengals. I like the way they match up with them. Joe Burrow is, in terms of quarterback-wise and how that offense plays, he's the only one who's had Patrick Mahomes' number in this run here. But even still, with Burrow coming back, at least for me, my early Super Bowl prediction is a rematch of what we got last year, Chiefs-49ers. I do think this is the year the 49ers break through, so I don't think we're going to see a Chiefs three-peat. I think Kyle Shanahan, Brock Purdy, and co. finally do break through and get one. But it is a very short list. I don't trust Lamar Jackson right now in the playoffs to play at a high level. We saw last year not only his struggles, but I think the Ravens overall almost seemingly like getting out of what got them there, almost trying to beat the Chiefs at their own game instead of just trying to beat the Chiefs on the field. So it does feel like there's some sort of rent that the Chiefs have in the Ravens' head that until we kind of see otherwise, I can't really realistically say here or truthfully say that I believe the Ravens can knock off the Chiefs. To me, it still feels like right now it's the only hope, at least in terms of the AFC's perspective, of preventing the Chiefs from going to the Super Bowl is the Bengals.
Interesting about the Niners because it is so difficult. You see teams quite often, including a team that Kyle Shanahan was the offensive coordinator for, Atlanta. When you get to the Super Bowl, you lose. It can be devastating, but there are a lot of veterans on that team. One guy wants out, and that's the story this week. Ayuk requesting a trade. Then I'm assuming, Ryan, you see this, everybody just kind of playing nice, and he plays this out. In San Francisco, how does this play out?
In terms of playing nice, I'm with you. I don't think he gets traded. I don't think Ayuk sits out. I don't think he's going to lose an entire year of salary. So I think he plays this year, and I don't think the 49ers trade him. We've seen the 49ers in the past with Deebo Samuel basically not blink when it comes to a player wanting out. Even on a lesser degree, when Jimmy Garoppolo was all but, certain that he was not going to be the quarterback when they handed the reins over to Trey Lance, they didn't cut him. They just kind of kept him around in the backfield until, Trey Lance got hurt. All right, Jimmy, come on in. They're not afraid of uncomfortable situations. So the trade request, honestly, to me means nothing from Ayuk. We've kind of seen this coming from a while where he wants a new deal, and with how many players the 49ers have to pay, it didn't seem like a deal was ever going to get done, at least on the terms that Ayuk wanted. But if you're the 49ers, there's no reason to trade him right now. You were going, you're trying to win a Super Bowl, and so if you trade him, even if you get a first-round pick back, you can't use that first-round pick for, essentially another year. So what's the point of losing a talented receiver now in a Super Bowl or bust season for a draft pick that you can't use and have be on your team until a year from now? So Ayuk wants out. I think this is kind of his only last push to maybe get an extension is by making this trade request public. But I think come week one, he'll be on the 49ers. I think he'll play nice because I don't know what other option he has. And I think the 49ers, at least as the roster is right now, will remain intact.
Ryan, you and Gino do have something in common in terms of your sports fandom, and that's you're both social misfit.
No. See, this is it's what Danger calls us because
lovingly.
No. Like Ryan explain to Danger here. You live in New York. That's the team that really is the fabric of New York. There.
God.
Sorry, you cut out the New York Mets. We're talking, right?
Correct. Yeah, the New York Mets.
I mean, are they not the most lovable team right now in all of baseball? We got Grimace as the mascot. We got right now one of the hottest songs in the country as the Mets theme song, essentially. I mean, we have a little dog eating hot dogs that is, galvanizing the team. How can you not love the Mets?
Well, you going to have Hamburglar throw out the first pitch when we get out of the break. What's next?
Well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Grimace is still working his magic here. We don't have to rush him out and bring someone else in.
What's your second half of the baseball season prediction here, Ryan? How do you think this all shakes out?
In terms of Mets specific, I do think they are a playoff team. I think that this last 6-week stretch is truly indicative of who they are. They have a lot of talent, especially offensively. I hope they get some bullpen help. I mean, the bullpen has just been an absolute disaster. Even if you get just two competent arms in there, this team is good enough to make the playoffs. And as we've seen, like baseball especially, well, maybe we'll say this, in the NL especially, it's a crapshoot. The Phillies and the Diamondbacks coming out of the NL the last 2 years, no one really saw that happening. I mean, you look right now, the Phillies clearly been the best team in baseball. They own the Braves now in the last few postseasons. The Dodgers pitching is just absolutely depleted to the point where it's like, I mean, I would have thought going into the year, it would take an absolute miracle for them not to make the World Series. And now you're looking at it, it would honestly take a miracle on the other end now if they are, staying alive that late and playing in the World Series. The NL is just, it truly is wide open. A team in the AL I am nervous about, if you will, because I know they're not exactly the most liked, Houston Astros. That's a team that's coming on. They are catching fire. They have a lot of veteran experience on that team. Not that they needed a wake-up call per se, but losing in the fashion they did last year to the Rangers, I think, could only add a little extra, spark to their flame. That's a team right now in the second half I think everyone should be watching out for.
It's funny. Like if you said to somebody who's got the best record in the American League. Oh, it's Baltimore. It's Cleveland.
Yep.
Any theory as to why we don't talk about the Guardians as far as being contender? Because they're going to win the Central. They're going to have a golden ticket to the Final Four of the ALDS. But why don't we talk about the Guardians, Ryan?
I'm so glad you brought them up because we had a call to JR show, I think it was early this week, with that same exact complaint. He's from Cleveland, is a big Guardians fan, wondering why the hell is no one talking about the Guardians. The only thing I could say, because you're right, in terms of the talent they have represented on their team, the record, there's no reason we shouldn't. I think, and it's unfair, but I think this is the reality. The Cleveland is a team, I think, that until they make true noise in the postseason, that's when people will take you seriously. I know they went to the World Series back in 2016, but we're going almost a decade now.
Yeah, then nobody's left from that team, right? Yeah, so that's that's a past generation almost. Yeah.
Right, exactly right. I think for them, they have to reach out to get respectability. Bare minimum, the ALCS. I think if we're talking another, first round exits, I think this only adds fuel to the fire of just, ignoring the Guardians or being like, they're a great regular season team, but what do they do in the postseason? Baseball is also a sport that I think nationally people truly don't pay attention to outside of the Yankees, the Dodgers, the big brands until the playoffs start. And so if you're playing in the playoffs and you're, getting bounced on the first round, or not really pushing anybody, I think it's easy to be overlooked. That's what I would say in terms of why the Guardians are not getting their love. I think that comes almost kind of like the NBA MVP, if that makes sense, where it sounds stupid, but it's like until you actually have a really legitimized postseason run, if you're an NBA player, that's all of a sudden when all of a sudden people are like, oh, well, actually maybe they should be, the next year. Maybe they are as good as we think. Maybe they do deserve that recognition. It feels kind of that same bar is set for baseball, and in this case, the Guardians.
Hot take, Hickey. Stopping by the sports bar. It's good having you on with us, buddy. We'll be listening for you on JR Sport Brief later on this evening. What about this weekend? When can we get some Hick at Night?
Oh, this is a good one of this upcoming Sunday night, 10 p.m. Eastern. We have the second edition of the Hickeys. Rip-off of the ESPYs. We got some big-time awards to give out for the 2023-2024 sports seasons.
Nice. Ryan Hickey, where you're just trying to settle down, maybe get some work done on a Sunday night. You can listen to him on 95.7, The Fan here, also free in the Odyssey app. Ryan, appreciate this. Let's do this again when football comes around for real here.
Fellas, always appreciate the invite. I expect after week one, when Caleb Williams throws for 500 yards and 4 touchdowns, and maybe Josh Allen's an okay game, maybe we can revisit that trade request again.
It'll be a fun monitor through the course of the season, Ryan. Appreciate you, buddy. Ryan Hickey. Stopping by the sports bar, Danger and Battaglia here on the Fan Rochester. Will be part of the JR Sport Brief. You can hear that later tonight, just over an hour from now here on the Fan.
It's interesting, though, as far as players that we think we know, and even locally we think we know, is Diggs the most misunderstood, or is it just because we know there's more to the story and we don't really have the story?
Totally.
I like to call it. He's not a malcontent. There was something there, but we don't know what that is.
I think the Bills did a great job of shielding any dysfunction in the relationship between Diggs and the head coach
or the quarterback.
And everybody said the right thing when they had a microphone in their face. Nobody said anything malicious. Everything was laid out as if things are good. I think last season, things were not good. I don't think things were good at all last season.
No.
On the offensive side of the ball. Not in terms of their production, in terms of just their cohesiveness, their functionality. And, it took the firing of Ken Dorsey and the phasing out. I'm going to call it that. A phasing out of Stephon Diggs for the Bills offense and the team to start winning games in a more consistent clip. I think he's going to be fine in Houston. And if Houston doesn't know how to manage that guy, it'll be telling. It'll be telling to see how, because I don't think Diggs will be the one. I don't think Diggs is the one that will say something or be public about it with any complaints.
I would say this. We're all excited about C.J. Stroud. This is year 2. When Josh Allen was in year 3, that's going to be, how does Stroud manage this? Is Stroud on the is he ready to take that next step? Or is this actually, Hickey brought up a good point. Is this going to unravel him? When you're trying to distribute, where to distribute that ball?
Yeah. That'll be fun to watch. And what is it? When do they have the Texans?
Oh,
week
it's
2, week 4. When is it?
It is before the Jet game. It's
like week 5 or
yeah,
something.
week 5, yeah.
That's going to be a lot of fun. We'll know a lot by then. We'll have a lot of data points to connect between week 1 and week 5, if that's the week that they're playing the Texans. Love that conversation with Ryan Hickey, one of our favorites. Trade Josh Allen. This guy. Unbelievable. Happy hour is next. We have time for your calls at 866-4FAN, 585-866-4326.
Fan Rochester, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester, an Odyssey sports station. The Fan Rochester, sports update.
Bills rookies at St. John Fisher University, the veterans reporting next Tuesday. The first on-field practice for Buffalo coming up on Wednesday, the 24th. No baseball tonight as play in the majors will resume on Friday. Jarren Duran of the Red Sox, the unexpected hero of the All-Star game.
Yeah, I mean, All-Star game, first homer in All-Star game, MVP, like it is a first, and I'm just very thankful. I mean, it's hard to put into words, I feel like it won't hit me until I try and go to sleep tonight, but who knows if I'll be able to sleep tonight.
Second half of the baseball season for the Rochester Red Wings also beginning on Friday. They are in Syracuse. One game in the WNBA tonight. Caitlin Clark in Indiana playing at Dallas. Sports brought to you by GetMyPerks.com. Get half off today to Lasertron in Henrietta. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader. The Fan Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
Brandon Ayuk has asked the 49ers for a trade.
And the Texans, the first team to have all their players at training camp.
Opening night of the new season in Kansas City is just 50 days away.
An anonymous NFL executive ripped Josh Allen to shreds in terms of where he thinks he needs to improve.
Whoever GM spoke is a GM that's trying to compete against him in the AFC.
I don't know who the exec is, but I'm going to say there aren't many execs in the league who wouldn't have Josh in their top three as quarterbacks. So I don't know how much overrated you could be for whatever the reason is.
Mike Danger.
Hey, what if it was Brandon Beane who put that out there just to let a little fire under Josh Allen's butt going into this season?
Gene Battaglia.
What do you project as being some of the bigger storylines as camp opening? What will you be paying attention to come next Wednesday?
The AL's back on top with a 10th win in the last 11 All-Star games.
Red Sox center fielder Jarren Duran picked MVP in his All-Star debut.
Paul Skeens. Enough said, right?
When we're talking about the Open Championship, what are we hearing about this weekend?
95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester.
Welcome to Happy Hour. Thanks for listening along. The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia at 95.7 FM, AM 950. We sound our best in the free-to-download Odyssey app on your smart device when you ask it to play 95.7 The Fan. We've got our video stream up and rolling as well. You can watch the Sports Bar on our YouTube channel at The Fan Rochester, streaming on Twitch as well. I'm Danger. That's Battaglia.
Yeah, your quarterback finally signed today. The Bears just putting out the Caleb Williams, Chicago Bears. This was reported yesterday, but yeah, okay, now it's official, and there he is.
Put his best foot forward. He did what a lot of, I think, rookie quarterbacks try to do, which is get some writing, a clause in the contract that prevents the team from franchise tagging the quarterback.
Which for the quarterback, if you get to that point, like that never gets to that point for like the number one overall, the second contract. If he's good, you're taking care of this like a year in advance, right?
It's never. I don't think it's ever gotten approved where they've tried to get this done, and it will never get approved. But he went through it anyways. Tried to make it happen. Tried to make history happen and become the first rookie quarterback to get that franchise tag clause written out of his deal. It didn't happen. He signed. Their rookies are in camp as the Bills rookies are in camp. And as we were going to break, we were kind of looking over that schedule. We were talking about Houston there in week 5. And, we could go through this exercise, Gino, of looking at the schedule and trying to predict just how challenging it will be for Buffalo this year. You know how quickly things change in the NFL. It truly is a week-to-week league, and sometimes you benefit by having a team with injuries, a team with an injured quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly the Bills felt that right away last season, week 1. Zach Wilson comes in because Aaron Rodgers tears his Achilles, and you still don't get that win. Warren Sharp points out some of the quarterbacks that the Bills played last season. And if you compare the quarterbacks that they played last season to the quarterbacks that they have on their schedule this year, the 2024 schedule looks a lot tougher than the 2023 schedule. Again, that can change. A lot can happen between now and week 11, as an example. Who knows who's going to be your starting quarterback in some of these games?
Yeah, to tell the story of the Buffalo Bills from last year, you have to be honest. It was a struggle. You were lucky to beat Tyrod. That came down to the last play, a controversial call that actually went your way. So the next time a call goes against Buffalo, say we never get the call. No, you got the call in that game, and you beat the Giants. You played Mac Jones. You lost to Mac Jones. You lost to Zach Wilson. You played Tim Boyle, Sam Howell, Easton Stick. Now, the circumstances around that game were the Chargers, how many points did they give up against the Raiders? It got the coach fired, right? Well, then everybody has to sit up straight the following week. Hey, if we want to stay around, we got to have a better performance. Easton Stick, enter him. And the Bills needed a field goal at the end of that game to win.
Yeah.
So there were some nail-biters against teams that shouldn't have been. And some losses that shouldn't have been. You lost to Zach Wilson. You lost to Mac Jones.
Russell Wilson.
You lost to Russell Wilson.
Who ended up getting benched. Yeah. So you look at this list, this hideous list of quarterbacks from the 2023 season that the Bills faced, and then you put it up against, look, the current schedule with everybody healthy. Of course, it's going to look a little bit more daunting, but you realize, hey, the Bills got a lot of wins. And they really, it was struggle city for parts of last season.
Yeah, and as Chris Trapasso has pointed out, and again, Warren Sharp, he's great at creating content and different angles, and it's just important to point this out. But hey, everybody else in the division, the Dolphins, they also faced these same quarterbacks, okay, and they faced Sam Howell. So injuries played a big role in that list that was rolled out. And things will change. You look at these quarterbacks the Bills have to face this year. C.J. Stroud, Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers at 40 years old is better than whatever they trotted out last year. The Colts, the Titans, they're going to be quarterbacks that are all going to be better than what the Buffalo Bills faced last year, assuming everybody is healthy here. So it's another, if you're looking for reasons to bet the under, or maybe say, oh my gosh, is this the year the Bills actually take a half step back? You just go by the quarterback to quarterback comparison.
I see two teams that right now would have questionable quarterback situations. Week 7, Tennessee. Week 8, Seattle. Aside from that, it's like, who you're going to be facing, assuming they stay healthy.
I think the ceiling for the Colts is high, but the floor is low. Is that fair to say? Because we don't know with Richardson. It could be a learning year, or it could be, oh my gosh, this kid really is the real deal.
I would say that at minimum, he's the dude in Indianapolis. You don't really know that in Tennessee. And I think in Seattle, you probably think, oh, yeah, Geno Smith. But really? New regime there. Even if it is Geno Smith, are you really nervous about that if you're the Bills? So Tennessee, Seattle, I'll give you Indianapolis. That's still just 3 teams on the schedule that have iffy/questionable quarterback rooms.
Well, how many
the season?
How many times will the Bills play a top 10 quarterback? And these are the questions I would have here, Danger. Is Tua a top 10 quarterback in the league right now? I'm going to say no. What about Trevor Lawrence? No. Lamar Jackson is,
yes,
for sure. How about Aaron Rodgers? Not at this point.
No. Stroud, yes.
Stroud, yes. Mahomes, duh. Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
the system. Sometimes you can't separate the quarterback from the system. It works. Stafford?
Not anymore.
I say yes. I say yes. That game's in L.A.
I put Goff in there, yes.
Goff. Okay. That being said, there's only 6 games where you're playing a quote-unquote top 10 quarterback. So comparatively speaking.
Did you count Tua as top 10?
No, I did not. Would you? Well, you would take Tua out and Stafford.
Yeah.
Stafford feels like that quarterback. Is he going to be upright?
The thing that's funny is, I want to say Tua's a top 10 quarterback, but his own team isn't saying he's valuable.
Right.
So I can't do it. Your own team isn't in a rush to sign you to a long-term deal. So even they don't view you at what you think you're worth.
I completely skipped over, Kyle Murray.
Right. Skip over week 1. Kyler Murray has the potential to be a top 10 quarterback, but consistently, no.
No, but of those, the Warren Sharp murderer's row, finger quote there, sarcasm, that the Bills faced last year, Murray's certainly better than your Tim Boyle or Sam Howell. I'm pointing out the obvious.
Tim Boyle. God, I forgot about that.
That would, I had no idea.
I forgot about Easton Stick, too. That was the Peacock game. I completely forgot that they faced these guys. And the Chargers game specifically, they were lucky they got out of there. It was not a great game.
No, 3 turnovers, bad special teams.
I think what you're going to have to grow to be comfortable with is being uncomfortable with this team. That there are going to be some games that are going to be head scratchers on this schedule. There are going to be some games that they lose that they probably should win. I think it's a lot more of what we saw last year, just kind of an inconsistent, a consistently inconsistent.
But if we know this going in, know that, all right, there's been a lot of change, and this is a team in transition, but if you can kind of grow, and when we look back last year, we look back actually kind of fondly, wow, that was a team that kind of, was down and out and picked it. You weren't thinking fondly, trust me, on Tuesday after the Broncos game.
No, I remember.
You wanted everybody fired.
I remember.
Yeah.
No, because it starts with the head coach. And I wasn't alone. I mean, it was right after that Ty Dunn put out the piece that maybe that was the galvanizing story that Sean McDermott was under fire for the first time in his career, had to explain some of his actions that he really didn't want to explain. Things got unearthed that the Bills didn't want to get unearthed. And from that point on, and moving on from Ken Dorsey, obviously, you had a different team. You had a couple of wins that were dominant. You had a couple of wins where it was struggle city. It was kind of a roller coaster. It was consistently inconsistent.
Yeah, I think from a betting standpoint, we're in tune with this team. I'm going to say the Bills finish. I've said this all along, 10-7. Okay, and I reserve the right to change my mind based on injury or what else is happening late. But right now, I have them at 10-7. But if we're just doing this ATS, Mike Danger, against the spread, because people love their quarterbacks, and they love offense, and they have this image about Josh Allen, and they remember the good times, I don't think this team is they're going to win. If they're going to win close games, I would not be taking them to cover a lot of spreads this year. I think it's going to be, like you said, if you thought last year was uncomfortable.
And you're doing all of that this upcoming year with essentially a revamped secondary in your defense. I mean, that's a big test for Sean McDermott as well, and for Bobby Babich. How quickly can you get these guys up to speed with no Poyer, with no Hyde, with no Trey White?
I don't have the concern that many have in regards to that because Micah Hyde, look, that neck, I'm sorry, he was sawdust. And Poyer, I give him all the credit in the world. He's a gamer. But I think that's not going to be that much of a drop-off. And Tre'Davious White, no, you weren't counting on him anyways. My concern is actually the pass rush. To me, can you actually get to any of these good quarterbacks? It probably looked good last year because you were playing a lot of crappy quarterbacks. But and if you can't do that, then maybe you're an experienced secondary doesn't have enough time there to hold. I look, it all works kind of in conjunction, right, in tandem. So I think there are concerns for this Buffalo Bills team, but anybody that says, yes, this team is ready to head to the AFC Championship game, you said it earlier, we're searching for teams, not named Kansas City, to win the AFC. I want to give you reasons. I want to give you reasons to believe that Buffalo is this team, but there's so many question marks right now.
The closest that Hickey could give us was Cincinnati.
Oh, my gosh. I have so many questions about Cincinnati.
And that, I was going to say, if that's the closest, then the gap between 1 and 2 might be wider than we originally thought. That Kansas City might just be that much more equipped to repeat as AFC champs if Cincinnati is the biggest threat to the Chiefs. Because I think there are a lot of questions around Cincinnati. Mainly the health of that wrist of Joe Burrow. We'll see. That was a fun conversation with Ryan Hickey, the Infinity Sportsnet.
I don't know if I'd call that fun.
Oh, it's fun. It's fun.
No,
it makes everybody angry.
Yeah.
It makes everybody angry. Sorry, a little distracted. I'm kind of a mess today. I've been a mess all day.
I know. Like, have
deprived.
you? How many cherry Cokes are you down?
I had one. It's not really doing anything for me. In fact, I don't know if it made me feel better. It might have made me feel a little bit
Probably
worse.
like when you ingest sugar, it sometimes doesn't work.
You hit a
like
wall,
that,
right? Yeah. One of our regulars, Andy Behrens from Yahoo Fantasy, has been engaging with me on this and wondered how one simply forgets coffee in the morning. I really don't know how this happened to me, man. This is
All right, I would assume like you make the coffee every day because Sandy's already out the door. So how did you forget to make coffee?
I must have just been in a rush out the door and forgot to pop in a K-Cup. It hasn't happened. I had a Ripken-like streak going here where I was drinking at least a cup of coffee every single day.
K-Cup? You're a Keurig guy?
I'm a Keurig guy. What's wrong with you?
Yuck.
What?
Yuck.
What do you mean?
Yuck. It's like the fast food of coffee.
What are you?
I'm chock full of nuts. Let it kind of go bold on it. Wait the 12 minutes.
What is this? What are you talking about?
Yeah, get actual real coffee. Danger, I used to be the guy.
Are you a French press guy?
I would grind the beans and then put them, and every year we order the executive producer and I have ordered the specialty coffee.
Oh.
You're coming into my neighborhood here. And to know that you're a Keurig guy?
Yeah. What's the problem? Why are you judging me?
I am judging you.
I'm a French press guy. What if I showed up at work tomorrow with a French press, started making my own coffee right here at the office? Like, just as a conversation piece, I just leave it out on my desk.
Who is that?
So everybody knows how serious I am about my coffee.
Now, I should know this. Was it you or Master Stroke years ago that would walk around with the espresso and little shots there? And I think it was Master Stroke. Do you remember this?
No, who was it? I do remember this. It wasn't Master Stroke. Who was it that had? It was
delicious. Oh, it was Rockwell.
It was Rocky.
It was Rocky.
Yeah, Rocky would make cafecita. It was like Cuban coffee.
Yeah.
But it would be like it was like a shot of espresso, but like with a ton of sugar in it. And he would just go around and just like with his little thing and pour everybody a cup of coffee. And
I just think that maybe I confused Master Stroke because, of course, he was down on him.
Oh, of course. Yeah. And I was as well. I kind of miss Rocky. In fact, I do miss Rocky. It's a lot of fun coming around here with this espresso, getting us all wired and jolted in the afternoon. I need that today. So when you say explain to me your method in the morning. What's your coffee? How do you do this?
Well, I used
you don't
to
use
be
the French press.
No, I just just. It's nothing more than making coffee, but
I'm
not the
like
Keurig
a filter. You have the paper filter.
The paper filter.
Drip,
and
drip
down
in the pot.
You put it on bowl.
The problem with me is I hate waste. And when I have the Keurig that you can do the pot of coffee or the K-Cup. I can do either or, but I hate waste. And so I don't like brewing a pot of coffee and knowing that I'm going to dump half of it down the drain because I can never get the right amount brewed. So I go K-Cup. Easy.
Oh, I mean, when you're a professional drinker, okay, like we're going to set it at 8 cups in between the executive producer and I. We're all set on that.
Yeah. We've had too many mishaps, and our schedules are different. Like she gets up early, she could set it, and then by the time I wake up, that could be cold. The timer on the heat plate could run out.
There's one odd thing too. I'm not allowed. Like the executive, she has her ritual with a French vanilla or whatever she's feeling like. I'm not allowed.
Oh,
to
can I judge negatively? French vanilla? Ugh. Who likes that?
Peppermint.
If you like coffee, why don't you just drink coffee? Coffee flavored coffee.
She'll drop like a Hershey Kiss in there. She doesn't think I see that. I do.
Oh wow.
Honestly, but I'm not allowed to get her coffee. Is that odd? Because I don't put in the right amount of milk or whatever it is.
See, I'm black always.
Same.
No cream, no sugar. Don't come at me with creamer. In fact, I looked at the ingredients once for some of those creamers. It's not good.
The creamer when you go into the diner, like how many years?
I don't even think about
potential
it.
like
I don't even think about that.
Like the Earth will be long gone. Aliens will come back by in 1,000 years. I'll be like, what are these creamers? Oh, these taste good.
I'm gonna pour that into my coffee and grow a sixth finger on my left hand. No, I don't want. I want nothing to do with that. Keep those creamers away from me. If you don't believe me, look at the ingredients one time and tell me what you're putting in your body. No, thank you. I will drink my coffee black. I'll drink it black, always. And I'm happy to report in my house, I've got Sandy there as well. She was always a particular like what you're describing with the executive producer, a little bit of cream, a little bit of sugar. Don't make my coffee. You put in too much sugar the last time you made it. Okay, now both drink it black. And I'm dying today. If you don't believe caffeine is a drug, skip a day or two. See how you feel. I feel terrible today. I needed it.
More water, less coffee would be better.
Well, I've been
what's your daughter's quote?
Drinking
Like
water
after
all day.
40, we got to take care of us.
This one. Yeah, she's on a call or heard some TED Talk or something, and I don't know who gave the quote, but the quote that she shared with me is essentially when you're up until the age of 40, your body takes care of you. After the age of 40, you have to take care of your body. I'm like, is there something you're trying to tell me, kid? Why are you sharing that quote with me? I thought I did take care of my body. No, not so much.
No.
All right. Well, tomorrow won't make the same mistake twice, Gino. You know I'll be in here and I'll be caffeinated and ready to go. And it doesn't help that this is the worst sports day on the calendar.
What are we watching today? It's the Caitlin Clark show, right? Everybody's going to have a Caitlin Clark take tomorrow when you listen to Maggie and Perloff because that's all that's going on tonight. And I would just question this, like for the WNBA, and everybody's going to get on Clark, and I think she's handled everything great.
Yep.
Because there's been so much unnecessary criticism that has come her way. She just wants the ball. But for the rest of the league, like, why isn't tonight like wall-to-wall WNBA action? Why aren't they doing like a whip around? Hey, you've heard kind of Caitlin Clark. Here's Angel Reese. Here's Ionescu. Here's everything.
Yes.
What are they doing?
That's right.
One game?
That's right. It's crazy to me. We've talked about this, though. If the WNBA has succeeded at anything, they're a part of that conversation now because we've talked about this with other leagues for years. What does Major League Baseball make a bigger deal of the 4th of July? Make that their day, baseball day in America, whatever it is. Missed opportunities by the NBA, by the NHL. Oh, my God, the NHL.
But this is glaringly,
For sure.
obviously, like there are growing pains to the WNBA, and this is one of them. Like you don't know how to schedule.
How many years has this league been in existence? They don't have any growing
No,
pains.
and this is the first time where I feel it's mainstream sports talk, and I'm talking beyond Caitlin Clark.
For sure.
And also part of this, too, they can't deny this. Betting. It's the only thing you can bet on tonight. Really, it is. Caitlin Clark, there should be all sorts of things for you to play. But it just seems, and I think the NHL, the hockey community has a problem with this, too. Just follow me on this. Is that if you're new to the sport of hockey, you're not exactly welcomed in sometimes. I've experienced this. Others have experienced this. It's the same thing with the WNBA too. I feel like there is this, hey, where were you all along?
Yeah.
You don't belong.
Yeah, you don't know. You don't know, man. We were part of the 600 fans that were at the game 3 years ago.
Yeah, like you're not. No, no, there shouldn't be a stiff arm there. There should be a come on in.
Right. Yeah, well, I mean, you could talk about Clark not being part of the Olympic team. You could talk about them not capitalizing on an opportunity tonight. Maybe it is growing pains. Maybe they just haven't quite figured out how to officially grow that game, make it even more mass appeal than it's become. Well, over time. Maybe it'll get better. And by the way, PJ Glasser, the host of Send It In on the BetQL Network, joined us in the 3 o'clock hour. He likes the under on the Caitlin Clark points prop tonight. I want to say he said it was at 20. I haven't checked the line recently to see if that's gone down anymore. But
Dallas is not good. They were arguably the worst team in the league. So
taking the under if you're tailing PJ Glasser from Send It In. We'll get to a round of shots next in the sports bar.
Yeah, as some notes from last night's All-Star game we will kind of review here as baseball now takes a little bit of a break. There was an injury in the NBA that, wait a second, will this impact actually next season? We have some franchise news in the league too, and yes, the Open starts here in a few hours here overseas. I have a guy that pulled the stunt today. When I tell you what he did today, you're going to have to think that, okay, he's going to be the favorite to win here
all right,
in a practice round.
We'll get to that and more next. A round of shots. And don't forget, last call is coming up before 6 o'clock. You can have the final word in the sports bar when you pull up a stool at 585-866-4FAN. 866-4326.
Odyssey app. The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
One Bills note just coming across. A former Buffalo Bill has a new home. Special teamer Tyler Matakevich signing this afternoon with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Speaking of Pittsburgh, the Bills are going to head down there for some joint practices. Chris Brown looking forward to it.
The joint practice is happening in Acrisure Stadium in Pittsburgh. Previously, during the Doug Marrone years, when the Bills went to do 2 days of joint practices with the Steelers, they did it at their training camp facility at St. Vincent's College in Latrobe.
No baseball tonight. Play resumes on Friday. That's true for the Rochester Red Wings as well. Friday, they begin a series in Syracuse. Just one game tonight in the WNBA. Caitlin Clark in Indiana playing at Dallas. Sports brought to you by GetMyPerks.com. Half off today to Lasertron in Henrietta. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester.
From the field to the court to the rink, the sports leader is there. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester.
Happy hour continues on The Fan. It's time for a round of shots in the sports bar.
Yeah, think about what kind of year this has been for Shohei Ohtani, but on the field, he's just as good as he's ever been. He's walking into the stadium last night, Danger, in Arlington, and he's with his wife, stops for a rare pose. That's when he proceeds to open up his custom suit jacket, and the inner lining had the image of his dog, Decoy. The breed, the Dutch Koi Kurhanju. I'm not familiar with that breed, but a beautiful dog.
You don't watch the dog show after the parade on Thanksgiving?
I do. I guess I'm not paying close attention. Ohtani became the first Dodger to homer in the All-Star game since Mike Piazza back in 1995. 3-run homer for the Dodger great, though. Not enough. That was the only runs the NL would get last night. The American League winning for the 10th time in the last 11 All-Star games.
Oh, what a weekend for the Dodgers. You get your first ever Dodger home run derby winner and first Dodger since Piazza to homer in an All-Star game. Boy.
And you know, good criticizing the Major League Baseball schedule. They're giving you a good series to come out here because nobody was expecting much out of the Red Sox. My friend Mike Underwood over at Andrek says, I was expecting this all along here. Well, okay. Like the Red Sox right now are in the third wild card. They are fun. I hope for Sox fans, management will do something for you at the trade deadline. They open up at L.A. against the Dodgers, so that'll be the Sunday night game.
Do we know how long Alex Cora's contract is for? Because they should probably extend him.
You would think that the job he's doing with that kind of ragtag effort he's doing in that division.
Yeah, I would think that should be a priority. Maybe extend your manager because he's done a good job this year.
The Red Sox are to the American League what the Mets are to the National League? Is that fair? No. Come on.
I'm not giving you that one.
Kyrie Irving of the Dallas Mavericks, he broke his hand. Fractured left hand this while training. He got surgery. The Mavs didn't provide any other details, no timeline for return, and we don't know how the injury or what specific bones in his hand were broken. Irving helping Dallas get to the finals for the first time since 2011 this past year.
Didn't really make an impact. Played well. There were a handful of games in the postseason I thought, Irving's back, man. He's like, you hear all the stories about Irving and Luka, like with this uncommon pairing, just making things happen. But, man, he can't get over in the Garden. He cannot get over on Boston. He cannot get over in the Garden. And, yeah, he kind of whimpered out the way his season ended. It wasn't great.
Well, I would question the way the Mavs are doing this. Now they bring in Klay Thompson.
Yeah.
I mean, when we last looked at the West here, Denver, Minnesota. Can Dallas do that again? Get by those two teams? I'm not so sure. And by the way, you get the Clippers with Kawhi now.
Minnesota's going to be fun. I like Anthony Edwards a lot. I still like Jokic. I think Jokic is the guy, but I think that Minnesota's fun.
Soccer fans here wonder, what if the Rhinos had gotten their act together and we would have a Major League Soccer team in Rochester? Okay, well, would they have succeeded? Well, that wasn't that long ago, not the Rhinos, but the year 2016. In fact, we had a team in the top women's league, the WNSL, which is going stronger than ever.
Flash, right?
Yeah. You went to games. I went to games. It was fun. Nobody went. A team in that league just sold for $250 million. That is a record in the world for a women's pro team in any sport. Angel FC is based in Los Angeles. buying the team. Disney CEO Bob Iger. Also, I didn't know he's married to Willow Bay. Did you know this?
Oh, Willow Bay from was she the news? No,
she was a sports.
She was on the NBA show with Ahmad Rashad. Wasn't
Right?
She?
Yeah.
I forget what that show.
Yeah.
is
Now
called.
she's Miss Iger.
Now, am I mistaken, or is this the sports franchise that Natalie Portman also has a piece of, and a few other celebrities?
I'd have to look that up, but
yeah,
they did. They don't anymore. So they just sold.
Well, then they probably got a nice return on their investment.
$250 million.
Pretty good.
For let's just pause here. They don't really have a big time TV contract. This is more of like a Do they?
ESPN.
Okay, but are you pulling in those sort of dollars?
I don't know that you are, but I mean, if I've seen their games, I have seen them. I know that I've seen some featured on ESPN. I don't know about anywhere else, but I know that I've seen some NWSL games in my feed from ESPN.
I mean, if you're the people from the hot dog company in Buffalo, Salins, who just, they sold the team dirt cheap to the one in North Carolina, the Western Earth Flash. Last I knew, they were in North Carolina. Like, are you feeling like, hey, we should have stuck this out longer? But the franchise went for $250.
The Angel City Football Club, founded by Natalie Portman.
Huh. Congratulations, Natalie, on cashing in there.
Also, venture capitalist Kara Nortman, media and gaming entrepreneur Julie Ehrman. Now, I'm wondering, did they just sell out entirely? Did they just sell the team entirely? Like, she get out of it entirely?
Yeah,
still a piece of it?
Still a piece, but that seems. But you have other. Remember, like Brittany Mahomes, one of the owners of the team in Kansas City. Is a league that's kind of coming up.
Yeah, for sure. And we had it.
We had it.
We had it.
Well, we had it like I'm there. I'm like thinking, this is Marta out here.
Yeah.
There's no one here.
We got to watch Marta, one of the best, if not the best soccer player in the world, here, right down the street from where this broadcast is originating from. And nobody went. What's wrong with us?
Yeah. Did Caitlin Clark's boyfriend had a little too much fun on his birthday? His name's Connor McCaffrey, and he's getting some backlash. This after photos of him partying in Vegas, surrounded by women in bikinis. This at the Encore Beach Club. Of course, where did we learn about this? Social media. And, of course, when you're on social media, some of the comments come through, all defending Caitlin Clark. These were my favorites, Danger. Quote, get him away from Caitlin Clark this instant. She deserves better. Another one, that's not what my queen deserves.
Oh, boy. Here we go. So he's enjoying his time in Vegas.
And, like, he's not doing anything other than posing he's at a club, and these women are in bikinis. And it's his birthday.
I have to see it. I have to see it before I can judge. But, once again, social media strikes again. Like, he's only going to post the stuff that, presents a certain way. We're not, you know what? I want a follow-up post from Caitlin Clark's boyfriend. I want a post describing what that conversation was like.
Well, this post wasn't even from him. It was like one of his buddies putting it out there. So can you imagine what it must be like to be the boyfriend of Caitlin Clark? You got to bend to a lot of things when you're dating a professional athlete, certainly, but I guess it's true but the amount of criticism that's come her way that I think is unjust, you just got to bite your tongue.
She's handled herself with grace unlike I think we've seen from any athlete in a long time. She hasn't slipped up once in terms of how she's dealt with the criticisms, the questions, the pressures. She's been great. She's been great. She's good for the sport, and I hope they continue to expand and improve. I'm not there yet. Like,
there's nothing on tonight, Danger. Like you're just gonna shut it down, watch reruns of The Mandalorian. What are we doing tonight?
Maybe a little Star Wars. I don't know. But I'm not there. I'm not there yet.
No, I know what you're doing tonight.
Oh, you think I'm mowing tonight?
All right, you couldn't do it there Sunday or Monday or yesterday.
Yeah, maybe I'll get to it.
Everybody in our neighborhood's going to be when I get home. It's going to be a mowathon. I just know my neighborhood,
really?
Your neighborhood as well.
Yeah, we'll see.
So maybe by that point, I'll watch the second half. The British Open, excuse me, the Open.
News.
begins tomorrow, or you could say in the early morning, whatever way you want to look at it. Who's going to win? Of course, the favorite, Scotty Scheffler. He's at 5-1. The man we don't speak about here anymore in Rochester, he's at 8-1. How about Victor Hovland? Not because, like, he's due or because his game is perfect for Royal Troon, the course, or anything like that. But listen to the confidence that this guy has, Danger. Final practice round today. He's on hole 13. He gets a delivery of ice cream, a cone delivered to him, and there he is enjoying it, lick for lick, right on the green. And what was the flavor? Only the best. Vanilla.
Yeah, vanilla's nice. There were no sprinkles because sprinkles are for winners. This is what I've heard from my neighbors who are competing in a bocce league at the Italian American Center.
Sprinkles are for winners.
Their routine, their tradition, after a win, they go out for ice cream. 3 guys in my neighborhood. And we're talking about Timmy Parmesan, Richie C., and Nikki Sainz.
Okay. Like, I'm not going to give you any names, but every town in Rochester has, like, their neighborhood ice cream place.
Yeah, I don't know where they go to get the ice cream.
Well, regardless, like, you have, like, this youth soccer team, this youth baseball team, this softball team. And then you have these 4 old guys, the bocce, all waiting in line.
Yeah.
Like they're kids. Like, everybody gets ice cream after the game.
They take a picture of their ice cream after the game. They post it on social media, and that's how we all know that they're winning. Now, I told them straight up. I told them a couple things. One, hey, it's nice that you guys keep posting pictures of your ice cream, but the neighborhood demands championship. No sprinkles yet. They haven't put sprinkles on their ice cream. Sprinkles are for champions. When they win, I'm saying win, I'm calling my shot. When they win the league, sprinkles on the ice cream.
From my understanding, from what you told me before, that botch is the sport when you're dealing with these 70-year-old Italian men. Like
70? Slow down. Yeah, the 70 is youthful. Who they're going up against? 70? Are you kidding me?
Like,
you're talking about a rookie league? What is this?
It's
70.
You're talking crazy talk there. They're not winning this league, not against those veterans.
I believe in my guys.
Oh, come on.
I believe in my guys.
They're not winning.
I believe in my guys.
I got to call it like I see it.
You haven't seen it, so you can't call it. I have. I believe in my
have
guys.
seen seniors, Italian men
All right.
playing botch.
All right, so I know that the offer is still out there, Gino. You are renowned as the play-by-play guy in Rochester. Let's go do some play-by-play.
Let's videotape it, let's do
some play-by-play.
From the Italian-American community.
I can do color.
I couldn't get an interview in Buffalo, but I can do this for you, folks. The Italian-American community tonight.
That's what was missing from your reel, from your demo. You gotta get some botch in there. You want to know how versatile this guy is? He can do RIT hockey. He can do Section 5 football. Certainly, he can do botch from the Italian American Center.
Wouldn't that be like
St.
somebody's
John
like, okay,
Fisher,
listen to this, like
lacrosse?
That would make some program director laugh. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, like, wait a second, what is this? What the hell is this?
Call it botch from the Italian American Center.
I could call botch. I could call it.
That's right. So I guess the long way of saying I like where Hovland's head is at. No sprinkles. He knows that there's still sprinkles for a champion. He's got to get that championship first. Then he gets the sprinkles. I like the swagger of getting ice cream after his practice round.
Oh my gosh. If I'm going to call botch, I've got a lot of homework to do. I can't even remember. Let's see if I can come up with this. The little yellow ball. It has a name.
You're testing me.
I'm testing you. I'm testing myself.
Isn't
I
it
know
called-
the name.
It's called the Pauline, isn't it?
The Pauline.
Yeah. I think you tested me on that when I first started talking to you about this neighborhood bocce team, and I was talking about how we do family get-togethers. Inevitably, bocce is going to get played, maybe like once or twice every couple of years.
Do you want to botch that?
Yes.
I do too. But the thing that disturbs me about the one, because it should be like red and green, right?
I have red and green.
I have red and blue.
Oh.
That doesn't feel right.
Mm.
I feel like I got the knockoff version.
Yeah. Well, these guys are playing on like well-manicured outdoor courts and indoors in the wintertime, indoor courts in the winter. I mean, there's no joke. You go out there, it's no joke. These guys take it seriously. 70. That's polite. You're being very, very polite. 70. I mean, the neighborhood guys are not 70. They are force. They're intimidating. I think they're one game back of first place, Gino, heading into the postseason. Ooh. So sprinkles for winners, boys. Otherwise, you got those steak knives, and all you're really going to be able to do with that is cut a fillet. Go get that chip. Botch. There's a round of shots in the sports bar. We'll come back and let you know who's stopping by tomorrow afternoon here on The Fan.
You're listening to the On the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Gino, are you feeling okay? Are we going to talk soccer tomorrow in the sports
We
bar?
are going to talk soccer tomorrow. Look,
I
we're
love
coming off a
this.
big week, and if you didn't know, we're going to pay attention to the Olympics. I know people in the soccer world would think that the Copa and the Euros are bigger than the Olympics.
For sure.
But from like the women's standpoint,
It's a fun tournament to keep tabs on.
Yeah, the Olympics, like, can the United States actually redeem themselves?
I want to say that there was a friendly against Costa Rica. Was it last night?
Yeah.
No score. 0-0 draw.
Liz Masterson, she has not been on the show before. She's the head coach for RIT, the women's program over there. She'll be stopping by in studio with us.
Sweet.
Talk a little soccer tomorrow. Also because, well, as we kind of gear up for another summer weekend, and I'm going to say this, you're going to hear me say this, like it's going to be the final weekend that you're going to have without veterans in the NFL. Like by the time the next weekend comes around, you're going to have
Training camp everywhere.
Training camp. The NFL will do their big show, everything. Yeah, we're going to talk some fantasy tomorrow. Speaking of NFL Network, Michael F. Florio coming back into the sports bar tomorrow.
I love that. Florio's great. That's not Pro Football Talk Florio. That's NFL Network's fantasy Michael F.
Florio.
Love having him on with us here.
Well,
on the sports
goodbye,
bar.
Michael F. Florio. Like, you know what? No, I'm not changing my name.
It's good. We'll talk some fantasy football. Done a little bit of prep, not a ton. Feel a little bit behind, but also like we'll be okay.
Oh, we're going to be fine.
Short week for us as well. I hate people that say this, but I'm going to say it anyways. Tomorrow's our Friday. Tomorrow's our Friday. No show on Friday as we take the final Friday off in between now and what? Christmas. Last Friday. So no show Friday. Tomorrow we are back. We'll talk to Liz Masterson, RIT women's soccer coach, tomorrow 3:25, and then some fantasy football at 4:25 with Michael F. Florio from NFL Network. If you missed any of today's show, the free-to-download Odyssey app is a great little tool for you to go back there and listen with Rewind. Any part of the show you may have missed for the next 72 hours is yours. That includes our conversation with Ryan Hickey, who you hear shortly here on the Infinity Sports Network on the Fan Rochester, and also PJ Glasser, the host of Send It In on the BetQL Network. Gave us some winners, some futures in Major League Baseball, and some plays for the Open, which gets underway tomorrow as well. Have a great night. The JR Sport Brief is next on The Fan.